Come again, Abstrusita, Abstrus 1 through 13.
That's it.
How about you, Miss Anais? It's so good to see you.
It
I'm
is.
Faith Jones on all social media: Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, especially.
You better plug it.
All right, all
Don't plug
right.
yourself.
And then I'm several different monikers under several different platforms. Maybe I'll put it in the description and the link. The main one we should be concerned about is Twitter. It's a brand new one, Abstruse One.
Is
And
TikTok doing good for you guys? Like, is TikTok your main? Really?
yeah, pretty much.
TikTok hates me. It does.
It's, you know what I found, like most of the time they just send it to your friends first, and so if your friends don't like it or they
That's
just skip by it,
So I'm blaming you guys.
no, I like all of your stuff.
I don't know, man. I don't know what's going on with TikTok. It's
Nice too.
say again.
Your Twitter is good.
Thank you. Yeah, Twitter, I get a lot of love. They actually move my content around to my actual followers. TikTok, it just won't get past, I guess, 40. I haven't been past 40, and maybe like 40 within the first 2 days. Within probably, I don't know, like maybe a month.
Wow.
And I haven't seen 1,000 or anything since COVID. Probably since COVID.
Okay. We gotta work on that and boost signal your
Something.
material. Yeah, definitely will work on that. All right, and so tonight we have the Wakanda Black Panther theme. I don't know if you guys could see the title when you entered in to the live stream. I have Black Panther, the movement, and the movie. And so, we had the passing of Chadwick Boseman. He is an Black American from South Carolina, and he was 42 years old when he passed.
Thought it was 43.
43 will be yeah, he was 43. I apologize. He was 43. And so when he passed recently from colon cancer, it surprised a lot of people because he didn't do the regular celebrity. I'm so passionate about this cause and I'm bringing awareness. Pay attention to me. I'm the face of this cause. He didn't do one of those things. What were you guys' thoughts on Chadwick Boseman's passing lately?
Well, for me, I kind of am a conspiracy theorist, so I sure enough thought it was a blood sacrifice. Simple as that. And then then there was speculation of poisoning, and then there's the things that he said about the 1% and him. So I was skeptical about the cause of death initially.
Okay. You have any thoughts, Al's Asylum?
That's interesting. I want to be careful about my thoughts because death and celebrity are a very interesting combination.
Right.
My condolences to his family and his loved ones. I want to be careful about how I criticize his body of work because I want to make sure that we kind of keep this within a particular parameter. I didn't look at Mr. Boseman as an activist or anything of that nature. I didn't see him in that particular. I didn't look at him as a Paul Robeson or anything like that.
No.
So I have to compare him, and he didn't really have like this really lengthy body of work, to be honest. He had a lot of different television shows that a lot of people didn't speak about in his work, and even some of the because of the era we live in, a lot of quick to Hulu or quick to streaming movies he was in, the Five Bloods, and what's the one, The Blocks. There was another one. I like I thought the James Brown movie was interesting, but not so much because of his performance, but because James Brown was that dude. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
And so I want to respect death. I want to respect this space, this punctuation mark that we have on our lives, because it's a part of the story too. But like I don't think we would be having this conversation this loudly if it wasn't for that one Disney production, if it wasn't for this, Disney product, Marvel product based on this activity that occurred in Lowndes County, this really interesting moment where these Black people decided to try to take over their local government, and they had to compete against the racist Democratic Party. They had to go against the Rooster Democrats, and so the Black Panther was born. And so you had Jack Kirby. First, Jack Kirby wanted to go, I think it was something like Power Cat or some shit, like, and then Stan Lee and his brilliance, and I want to talk about that a little bit, but Stan Lee and his brilliance said, nah, that ain't gonna work. And they went with, what they saw down there in Lowndes County. Let's run with the Black Panther. Let's just take what they got and keep it easy, guys. But I do feel like a lot of what was in that comic book, a lot of what was in that particular, the Black Panther as a fictional product, to me is very questionable. You get three Jewish guys trying to tell this Black story. They're going to get it wrong.
Of course.
And I think there is the conflation of actual Black, the conflation of what happened in Lowndes County and what happened in Oakland. It kind of gave cachet, it gave power to the comic book, the fiction, in a way that I don't think the fiction should have actually taken. Like, if you actually read through it, or even some of the more, even Ta-Nehisi Coates' take and Roxanne Roxanne Gay's take, it's kind of like, nah, not quite. This is not really my hero. And I do think that I don't want to go. I'm not as courageous as Anais. I don't want to. I'm not willing to say a blood sacrifice, but I'm leaning. Like, I'm willing to be sold. I'm willing to buy. I'm here to buy it. Because I do feel like this is very convenient, weird. And I want to be careful. Once again, it's death.
Yes,
it's death. Whatever we believe, nobody's actually come back. Like we're still waiting for everybody that's scheduled to come back. We're still waiting on them. Okay. And I know we all have our own beliefs, but I think that we all also believe that life is a very valuable thing and death should have some respect put on it. Right. But at the same time, this was very convenient, man. Like, condolences to the man family and all, but goddamn, this was perfect for a whole lot of people.
Right. And so, my daughter, she's 4 years old, and the Black Panther was definitely her favorite Marvel movie. She loves watching superhero movies. And so, Wakanda Forever and all of that stuff. And I was kind of lamenting, telling her that the actor passed away. And in this conversation that I had with her, I said, oh, do you want to watch Black Panther tonight? She's like, okay. And I said, the actor passed away. And she said, oh, the actor passed away. And she said, and it surprised me, she said, that's sad, but we can remember him in the movie. I was like, oh,
which is what Disney wants, which is the reaction. Even in death, marketing
right.
to the kids.
Right, definitely. I still felt it was a kind of a mature answer
A very
because
mature answer. It is.
we
Good job, mommy.
we commemorate death in our family. We don't look at it as a taboo subject. My firstborn passed away in 2014, and then my 4-year-old was born in 2015. And so every
My
year
condolences.
I celebrate. Thank you. I celebrate her birthday, and we have a memorial box. And we add pictures, current pictures to the memorial box, and it's like she's growing up with us. And so that's how she views death from her lens. So to us, it's not necessarily it's sad, but it's something we accept, and we still carry it on. So
I think that's so important. I think that's
yeah,
important.
so I wasn't too I was a little bit shocked that she took it that way,
Not
but
too surprised though.
yeah, not too surprised.
Because that's the problem that I've been having. Like earlier this year when Kobe, like even the language for me is really hard. Like I don't want to say he passed because that's not exactly what happened. Wasn't
Right.
quite a murder, but wasn't quite a passing.
Right.
But when the tragic occurrence occurred, and him and the others left the forum or whatever, I had to kind of do some reckoning, and now that I've watched the HBO special on record discussing the women who I want to be careful with my language here, the women who have accused Russell Simmons of rape. Yeah.
Yes.
And so Kobe was an interesting case, and I felt like I was very entertained by Kobe. I thought he was great. You know what I'm saying? But in a very narrow space.
Yeah.
His intellectual pursuits, I really wasn't privy to. Like I knew he could speak these languages and all of that, and I thought it was really, I thought that was interesting.
He's a military brat, so that's the reason.
Right. But I didn't know him for that. I knew him for what he did with a ball.
Okay.
And so I did have this problem where I kept asking myself, why am I celebrating this stranger in this way? Is it because of his wealth? Is it because of his celebrity? It's like, how many basketball players do I know that have died over the years that, we didn't really celebrate them in that kind of way. How many people do I know that have died? I grew up in one of those kind of areas where, young people die, young people are murdered. And so, it's like, I'm not like, death isn't a stranger to me either. So the whole thing about people dying at an early age didn't really, like, it's like, man, I know a lot of people died at an early age. You know what I mean? I've been dealing with I've been living with people's souls for a very long time myself. So this, so I had to come to grips with, I'm celebrating because he's been celebrated. Yeah. And I still feel that way with this particular case. I'm celebrating this death, and not just because, like, I mean, we're not talking about Denzel Washington here, right? You know what I mean? Like, I want to be careful, but I mean, come on, man. Like, how many people really went to go see, all of his movies, and like, I didn't even really think Black Panther, outside of, I thought it was an atrocious script. I agree. It was very anti-Black. You know what I'm saying? You can be pro-African and anti-Black. You know what I mean? We have the slave trade for that. Yes. And so I felt like, and even beyond that though, I just didn't think it was a great performance. Like, I thought, this was all right, man. I think it had a lot of visuals that a lot of people were looking for, and I think the fans made this great. I think the fans put this to such a level that it was just overwhelming, because I didn't think the script was all that hot. I didn't think his performance. I just didn't think I didn't feel like he was I didn't think he was
You know what?
like go ahead.
Okay. I was gonna say I felt like Michael B. Jordan carried the movie acting wise. And so I also felt like Killmonger, that character, was more pro-black than everybody
It
else.
represented, it was there to represent us in a particular way, and it's a movie that wants to make this statement about blackness in the United States of America, blackness as well as black maleness, and there's this conversation about um what black men in the United States are willing to do to black women in order to get revenge. And I have a problem when our justice claim is reduced to revenge.
Right.
No, we would never look at the Native American justice claim as revenge. We would never
Right.
look at, although it should be, we would never look at the Japanese justice claim as revenge, although it really probably should
We wouldn't
be.
look at Israel as
Oh
revenge.
God, right,
Oh,
right,
right.
right, right,
So
right, right, right.
I don't want to go any further than
And
that.
as far as acting is concerned, like I didn't think, like I want to be careful because I know what people are going to say. Well, you can't compare this to this. I didn't think Boseman's performance in the Black Panther was as good as Wesley Snipes' performance in Blade. And I think
Ooh.
those are good enough parallels.
Ooh.
And so I'm having a difficult time with saying, okay, man, we celebrate death and we can condolence to his family, but let's just be realistic, man. He wasn't this stellar actor either. So this protection by Disney, because they've got this series that they're pushing and this idea, and not just Wakanda, but now Beyonce's, Black is King, this Disneyification of Pan-African ideas
Right.
has put them in a market where this death just really sealed the deal for them. Like, you can't get better marketing. They got it, Disney owns Hulu, so Hulu got NBA spot. So you got Bozeman there next to, the other people that have died or whatnot.
Right.
And I do feel like this is just, you can't get better marketing. We got Disney Plus, so they've got, like you were saying, the reruns of Wakanda, of the Black Panther, whatever. So
Right.
it was just, it's just great. And now they got to run the series during, COVID, and so, I just thought the timing was interesting.
I was kind of disappointed that Black Panther didn't include certain elements, such as Captain America represents Uncle Sam, and Captain America was banished from Wakanda in a one-on-one, hand-to-hand combat fight with Black Panther. That wasn't included in the movie for some reason. Don't know why. But they embraced the CIA officer, no problem.
Yeah, right. A little side statement. The whole thing about what do they call him, a colonizer? But you embraced them though. You welcomed the colonizer into your home, and like the whole idea of the whole purpose of recognizing the colonizer is to keep the colonizer out.
At bay, right?
And I felt like there was this belittling of the U.S. black male. The
Definitely.
U.S. black male has been criminalized, and the African must come to America to set up community centers, because by golly gee, that's what's going to keep niggers off the streets. Community centers. So a lot of it, I just felt like, this is atrocious. This is a horrible statement about about U.S. blacks, specifically U.S. black males. And I didn't think the message to U.S. black women was any they didn't say much about you. It was kind of a weak performance, a weak representation. And I'm not a fan. I've stated this before. I'm not a fan of the king and queen thing. I'm for the most part, I am anti-authoritarian to an extreme level. But and furthermore, the black kings and queens that they chose to inform and being influenced by the Dahaman women, the Dahaman warriors. You know, these are people who. What's up with that? Mwah. These are people who, like, in Zora Neale Hurston's autobiography, she talks about the contents of Barracoon, and her talk with Kudjo Lewis, who watched his village be slaughtered by the Dahaman warrior women, and then they were captured and sold into slavery. So I felt like this was a very, you got this culture who, you know, it's we never see the relationship of Wakanda to any other African or diasporan culture other than U.S. blacks.
Right.
So, and I find it interesting that you choose the group of women who has had a, you know, and also Queen and Zinga, but specifically the Haman warriors who had so much, you know, to do with selling blacks to whites in America and European, selling us to the ocean.
Right. And go ahead, Anais, you had something to say?
Well, I mean, I agree with that. And then also, I felt like it was a kind of a sad kind I don't want to say it, a sad replica maybe of what happened with the warriors, the warrior queens, and all those people, even the Kandakis. I mean, even the Kandakis, they were talking, they were trying to play on the Kandakis, but the Kandakis, they were even more strong in their approach. So
Nah,
And
I go ahead.
so yes, and I think what they were trying to do was connect all of the major tribes in Africa into one film, especially during that battle. And
Right.
it, you know,
Yeah, I thought it was bad, and then you do all of this, and you kill Killmonger off, and then let the CIA in, and the rest of the series is, you know, everybody from different planets just running through this African land that you've been protecting for so long, and just destroying it. You know, from Thanos to, you know, everybody comes there to just, it was just a battlefield. It was a place of, you know, where you go to war, and I thought that was an interesting message as well. You set this up, you know. After they destroyed Russia, they came and or I guess that would be Russia. Well, they destroyed Russia in what was the second Avengers?
The Infinity
the one before Infinity Wars, the one where they introduced the one where they introduced oh my God, I'm not gonna
the Winter Soldier.
Before that, but close to that one, right before the Civil War, they had one, and the one where they introduced Vision and they fought the one guy. That's not helping you any.
No.
But they destroyed a Russian state, which I thought was real interesting. They're Marvel and Disney are constantly using these storylines to depict a lot of US, like you said, it's a replica of the US state. You know what I mean? It is very political. Marvel has always been very political in their writing.
Definitely. And so you know, there was stories that I heard about Chadwick Boseman. He said originally the production wanted him to use a British accent, you know, like in all those Bible stories, you know, like in Moses, thou, that, and thou, and thee,
like
thou.
Thor, they wanted to be like the first Thor. That's interesting.
Right. And so he said, well, he fought for an African accent.
What, like the problem I still have, like, I never bought into the idea of the Wakanda, because I felt like my thinking was always, okay, let's play this, let's have this thought experiment. you have an actual African nation that was able to get some type, protect a particular resource,
Right.
uh, protect a particular resource, gain a certain level of power, maintain isolation, all
Right.
probably completely impossible. Um, it wasn't, it wasn't, you know, like it wasn't. Like Zimbabwe didn't wave a flag for Cecil Rhodes to come invade them. You know what I'm saying? It's
Right.
not like these people waved, hey, over here. Europe. Europe descended on Africa. Rome descended on Carthage. Carthage didn't, hey, come on, rear. It wasn't that kind of party. Africa was, all these African nations were attempting to remain isolated and to themselves deal with their own problems until Europe start chopping it up and making their own demarcations based on places where there was tribal conflict. So I do have a problem with the idea of Wakanda and the possibility of Wakanda, and then I have a problem with Wakanda is a monarchical state, and that comes with a particular kind of order on the society. And I get that Black people, I don't know, man. Like back in the, like I was cool. I'm cool with the idea up until like the early 20th century. Like after that, I'm kind of like, man, I don't have to go all the way to Africa for my heroes. King already exists. You know what I'm saying? Malcolm already exists. Huey, Martin, all of these people, they have already, Assad is still in Cuba. I don't have to go that far for a really powerful story and inspiration. And even if I just want to look at, rich people, like, we've got a lot of rich people, Black people, they went and got a bag, and that's cool. It's not my thing. That's not what inspires me. That's not my motivation. But for those Black people who need something like that, we did it under a really interesting condition. I don't have to go all the way back to Africa, man, to pull from a history that the people there don't even respect for real. And then look upon me like I'm trying to steal their thing. So I do have a problem with that. We're highlighting one section of Wakanda, but when you go in the comic book, it's like, they're warring. The royalty is warring with the people. You know what I'm saying? This is anti everything we're supposed to be representing. Everything we would hold this up to is anti everything every reason why we would look into this as something to hold up. It's antithetical to everything, every principle and every posture that would make us say, oh, hey, read this.
Right. And so I would also like to highlight that what they're not also saying is that several Black Panthers went through Cuba to go liberate Africa throughout the 60s and 70s. And so this whole, we have an advanced state in Africa already, when it was, people like Kwame Ture, they said, oh, he was chased out of the United States. No, he was planning. He went to Cuba, learned some guerrilla warfare tactics, got arms, went to Africa, and took down several, colonies throughout Africa. And so when we look at it from that standpoint, the superhero in Africa, where was he really? And if he was isolating himself so much, why is it okay for everyone else to be availed of his resources, but the oppressed people? They want to align themselves with the so-called superpowers, but when Killmonger was getting ready to arm the people, there was a problem. No, we can't do that. Revenge. No, we're better than that. No,
No, absolutely. And even outside of like the narrative, I just feel like Disney should not be allowed to touch any of these properties. Disney's history with Black America is atrocious. They've got so many stereotypical images of Black people, from I've even read places where the guy is arguing that Mickey Mouse itself is minstrel. This is blackface. This is not. And then you've got Mickey Mouse donning blackface, so it's blackface on top of blackface. And this is the history of Disney, of Walt Disney. There's you just haven't earned the right to take on these properties. I understand that, I don't even know. I can't even say that anymore. Like I can only look at Disney as a business interest. I can't look at Disney like Beyonce doesn't need Disney in order to get a message out. She didn't lean on Disney to get Lemonade out. We heard that.
Right.
Beyonce doesn't need that. So I can't look at it as anything other than you made a business move. You saw a bag, y'all hooked up. Disney is trying to get into Africa. They want to build Wakanda land in Africa and charge, vibranium level prices for entry.
No.
And so that's how I see that. They're gonna, the writing's on the wall. Africa as China. As China and Akon
right,
are making their move on the continent of Africa, a USA wants back in, and Disney is seeing Facebook has already begun. Disney is, Disney likes to lay in the cut. Disney likes to let the young corporations go in, and then they come. The same thing they did with streaming. They let Netflix play the ball for a while, and they say, okay. Now we're going to play. We like this game. We're going to play. They're doing the same thing with Africa. They're doing the same thing with technology in Africa. It wouldn't be much for. There's going to be no protest when Disney says we want to build Disney World, Wakanda land somewhere in Africa. There'll be no protest. There's going to be no protest, and nobody's going to see this as a form of colonization. So, I just don't think Disney has done anything that makes me feel like trying to go over all of your old movies and kind of cleanse them of their racial stereotypes doesn't get by me. You know what I'm saying? I don't do all that. That was in the past. None of this has been rectified. The relationship between blacks and whites in the United States of America has not been rectified. So I can't forgive you for anything until we get some actual rectification for what caused you to, push a narrative that has got many black people murdered. This idea that we are less than human, this subhuman idea, and Black Panther doesn't. It only promotes that idea even more in the language of the modern era. The Negro who is so angry he can't contain himself.
Right, but then it's okay that they don't remind you that most of those markings that represented each body count for his kills came from being in the United States military special forces. So
but he's killing them for the USA,
for the United States, but now he's Killmonger because now he's trying to get into a position to help his other people. I found that to be very interesting. And so another thing I found interesting was that the director of Black Panther was also a Black man, and his name is Ryan Coogler. And his first film was actually, yes, I love that film. Not love it.
I have my thoughts about it.
I felt like
Let Daddy, what you doing? Excuse me.
I felt like they gave too much bail to the police in that movie. I didn't feel like they attacked police brutality the way they should.
I also feel like I'm not into this whole humanizing. Like there are times when there are times when you're supposed to use a particular platform to push your agenda as hard as possible. Right. And I felt like in a situation in the Oscar Grant story, I don't care if Oscar Grant had a short temper or not. That's not what got him killed.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? That has nothing to do with what we're here to discuss. Right. You know what I'm saying? Whatever he's got going on, and you keep trying to show him as he gets angry. And I felt like this is the reason why Marcel's, the officer who killed him, only got, did what, a year, and I don't even think he did a whole year. He might have did like 9 months, and then he was out. So it's this idea of the angry black man that has to be put down. And so I did have a problem. I thought what's my boy name? I thought
Michael B. Jordan.
I thought Michael B. Jordan did a great job in that. I don't think he gets enough roles. I think he's been held back in Hollywood. But I think Coogler, I feel like Coogler also may have been kind of blacklisted in a way. I think his hand is kind of held, and he's tied to projects that force him to make some interesting choices with the political narrative. And the reality is, for black people in the United States of America, everything we do is political. Right. There's nothing that's not political for us. We are the descendants of slaves. Right. We are the class. We are the bottom caste in this country. Everything we do has to go through a particular kind of scrutiny, from WAP to the Black Panther. Everything we do has to be, whether I agree or disagree, I understand it has to be pushed through this filter because of who we are and what our story is.
Right. And Ayes, did you have anything to add to that?
I also thought about Killmonger when he talked about at the end, when he talked about his death. Right. And he talked about being put into the ocean like the ancestors. And it's like I don't know, it's just like a going back to the sacrifice. The whole slave trade, the whole I'd rather be in the position, the death, in order to be like in bondage.
Right.
So, I'd rather choose death than bondage, he was saying. So I thought that was just interesting too.
Yeah. And then I've heard a lot of suggestions that Killmonger actually takes his rightful place. He survived it somehow and takes his rightful place as
I imagine that if I'm not quite sure, like in the comic book, you have Black Panther coming to the United States. Well, in the movie as well. Right. But there's like a whole line of series where Black Panther is in the United States, fighting. You've even got him fighting the Klan in some instances. Yes. I do have my thoughts about that. Like Ta-Nehisi Coates is. That's this era, and even that was kind of like off the back of Black Lives Matter, you know what I'm saying? Right. Him and Roxanne Gray, and Roxanne ties it into the Me Too. Let me be careful. A more feminist LGBTQ assessment of Wakanda or whatever. Right. But prior to even us being alive, like in the early 70s and in the 60s or whatever, it never had a real Black voice. He had these three Jewish guys determining the direction, and I just I just question.
This is not the first time that Jewish people have been attempting to tell our story, though. From what I understand,
they've done it a lot.
Yeah,
even like in our era, like Girlfriends was
Is she there?
No, okay. I don't see her on my screen either. Maybe she'll come back. Yeah. Even Girlfriends, and I'm like this isn't, I don't want to be anti-Jew or anything like that. That's not the program here, but it is something, like I said, I have to question everything. Jews own slaves. Right. The conversation between Blacks and Jews has not been a great conversation. We've had some interesting moments and had some not so interesting moments. We had some places where we bonded, and we had some places where we had conflict. So I do. Jewish people aren't going to just let Black people control a whole story about what the Holocaust or anything else. You know what I'm saying? They're just not going to let that happen. And I feel like Girlfriends is with Kelsey Grammer, and I don't knock Kelsey Grammer. I question a guy that could work with Ted Danson for that long, you know what I'm saying, and not have a problem. Like Ted Danson is obviously a racist, like bubbling over with, this particular idea and this particular attitude. So I do question that part, and I do question some of the content that girlfriends push. I know a lot of people love the show. It's entertainment. You know what I'm saying? These are professionals. They know how to sell a damn show.
Right.
But I do question some of the messages that were put in the show. And I do question how much control of the Black narrative at the national level Black people lack. Let me put it like that.
Right. And when you look at the she's back. She's back. You're back. We missed you. And we were just talking about white authors to Black stories, essentially. And
right.
It's always this sense of, even if it's not within a stereotype, it's definitely within respectability politics. And so to me, the most undertold story is the single Black mother. And I feel like they don't want to.
Julia.
Right. Well, I mean,
and that, right. Before any of us was born, right.
So,
and even that had its respectability politics,
definitely. But and so there's so many stories that we have to tell, like when we were just discussing Kobe, with his ability to speak multiple languages. Most military brats have that ability because we've lived outside of the United States. We've had to adjust, but that story hasn't been told yet because we're some of the most educated,
because you've been through all these different cultures.
Right.
And the military bases offer a lot of different, of different classes and like you get out of boot camp and then you got to go to these MOS trainings and different schools to pick up an actual trade, and like they're quick, but all of them was at the college level. Like I was in the military and I was in college. Like I can compare the two. You know what I'm saying? Like it's they boot camping you're doing it pretty fast, but it's a lot of information on them bases.
Yeah, especially if you're trying to get promoted, you have to memorize whole handbooks, and it's not definitely not easy. And then military parents, they teach you a certain discipline that you might not get had your parents not been in the military. I had to do the naval fold in order to go play outside.
Triangle on your bed.
Yes, on each corner, and I had to have a certain level of knowledge in order to participate in a lot of things on base. And so, hi baby, you see another baby?
That's what it was. They got a magnet energy.
Say hi, Anais. And so we definitely look, we got the babies in the house, so there's all these stories that I feel like are not told and not represented because we don't fit into their narrative as the subhuman
right. And in some ways there is this there's going to be an inferiority complex upon a lot of white America,
right?
Not solely because of this racist ideology, but because these are very a lot of us are extremely impressive people. The conditions of being Black in this particular kind of environment have caused us to we do have to do, as the trope, as the cliche says, work twice as hard and all of this other stuff.
Half of the recognition.
Half, you know what I'm saying? And many of us are, we are the inheritors to, where it's not money, but vast wealths of knowledge and vast wealths of just human insight. You know what I mean? pass through our culture. We don't appreciate the culture in the way that we probably should. I think it's extremely magical.
Yeah, you know, it always beats their idea of who we are when you talk about your life experiences and it's outside of the projects, you know, which is their idea. Even if we
I
do have
sometimes wonder
experience,
what do they really know about the projects though? I
right?
think I like I think the whole thing is magical, like
I
all
think
of
so
it.
too.
I think that I think I can understand why the good times thing got a little bit, out of control with the JJ character.
Right.
But I do think that that's a necessary conversation as well. I think all of these conversations are extremely important. I just have a problem when we get to the point where everybody feels like they have to perform black a particular way because this is what's selling. And
Right.
that's how I feel like what's going on with kind of there are some shows that I feel like are only out because they feel like this is what's selling right now, and they feel like we have to be black this way now.
Right. And do you have anything to say?
My thing is this: they're putting us in boxes.
Yep.
So
Yep.
and then we're playing to the narrative because they're putting us in boxes.
And it's
So
where
I feel
people
like we need to break out of those boxes and understand that okay, there is no one way to be black. There's no one way to carry your even the whole I don't want to say this word, but they say it a lot, and it's I think it's an oxymoron, but Afrocentric,
okay.
a way to be prideful
African, right.
about your African roots. I mean, they have just one way of doing that.
That's true. That's true. It's got to be
Everybody black,
dashikis and yeah,
everybody
right,
Afro.
right, right.
Don't tell me how to wear my blackness.
Right. Definitely.
Don't tell me how to wear my blackness. No,
I've
100%.
been criticized for my
100%.
wigs, so but I never heard anybody
I think
criticize
black
Shirley
women get it the
Chisholm.
worst. I think black women do get it the worst, and there's a reason for that. I mean, the expressions are predominantly coming from the black mothers and the black aunties. You know what I'm saying? Even as black men, we borrow a lot of style from black women. You know what I'm saying? Um, and I think that the other cultures, um, they do want to contain you because they want a particular kind of energy at a particular kind of time, and they do want to tap into it in a way that allows if not mockery, mimicry. I would say mockery. I think what let's just say it, fuck it. I think what Kamala Harris has done is mockery. I think what I have my thoughts about Rachel Dolezal and what's the new lady.
I
Um
can't remember her name, but she's
and this is just the tip of the iceberg. These are the
right.
ones that have been caught or
Right.
or have a platform. There's got to be an entire culture out there of women who are imitating black women or black women who have influenced, Latino women. There's got to be an entire culture under the surface of white women who
But do you think it's because we're so welcoming and we just want everybody to join us? Like we just
I
want
think it's two
acceptance
things.
so much.
I think it's two things. I think because it's extremely powerful. The first thing, it's very
Okay.
attractive, and everybody knows. Everybody like this is wow. I want to do that. You know what I'm saying? This is really what womanhood is.
Right.
Um, and then yeah, black women, are open. You know what I'm saying? And in a lot of ways, black men are too.
And then we black is so broad, right? And so
It
that's
is
how they're
extremely.
able to fit into the cracks like that. It's because
It's
Thurgood
very
Marshall
difficult
is
to
black.
close ranks.
Yeah, Thurgood Marshall is black. and Clarence Thomas is
I was just
black.
going to say it. Right, right. And that's a perfect analogy because it goes from skin color to a different skin color as
Mhm.
well as ideology to another ideology.
Yes,
No, that was perfect.
yes,
Yeah, and I think that, and that's absolutely the reason. There's absolutely no way to close ranks. Everybody has to represent whatever it is you represent, and you just have to. Once we go to this level, once we go to the broadcast level, it gets very difficult. You know what I'm saying? What you have going on in your community and what I have going on in my community might be different levels of the fight. So an individual can figure maybe they can't get in. Hey, what you doing? Maybe they can't get in on mine, but they can get in, on yours.
right.
And it's very difficult, who was going to tell the AKAs at Howard, hey man, that might not be a good idea. That like who was going to say that? Who was going to tell the NAA, say, well, what is it? It was in Washington, right? With Rachel Dolezal. Who was going to tell the NAACP, hey man, you might want to check a record. Why do they always go through Howard? Is like Howard like
Right.
the machinery for like,
It is the most prestigious HBCU. They have a dentistry
Howard?
program. Yeah, they have a dentistry
Because of
program.
the medical? Okay.
They
Okay.
have a lawyer program. So they are one of the most prestigious ones because of
It's
all of the
absolutely up there.
curriculums that they offer.
I just feel like it well, we've got two now on record. You got and I think the other chick is, I shouldn't say that, but excuse me. I think the other lady is somehow tied to Howard as well. So there was this culture at Howard where non-black women were pretending to be black women of some variety.
Right.
And they got degrees and they wrote books and they held, some level of instruction. I just find that really interesting. But yeah, I do feel like black women in particular spaces are extremely welcoming, and it is a very powerful energy. It's attractive. It's very attractive. Okay,
Definitely.
and in some, I think. Let me be careful with that.
I would like to see Kamala step. That's what I want to see.
Funny.
I'm like, you got to learn.
I would imagine that she's probably, well, I mean, I don't know, because it may have been a long time since she actually stepped.
Right.
She may be rusty. I would imagine she's going to use that as an excuse, but I don't feel like Kamala has had, outside of AKAs and outside of her relation. What's the guy's name? Billy something out in Oakland, the guy that the married guy she was with. What's the guy's name?
Oh my God.
The married guy who was with
Kamala Harris. There was a married guy. I think he was like he held some type of political official position, and that's how she kind of caught the ride up.
Hold on.
Yeah, somebody get on their Googles, man. So outside of these two kind of situations, I don't feel like Kamala in a very long time has really did the black thing.
Right.
Until recently, and that Willie Brown, thank you, Ron L. Willie Brown, thank you. So I do feel like, she hasn't had the posture since Sylvia's. You know what I mean? And since Cardi be listening, like I don't even know like a lot of older. I don't know many black women her age that listen to Cardi B. So why would you pretend to listen to Cardi B?
Denzel Washington claimed to listen to Cardi B. So I mean that's the trendy thing to do.
But what else are you listening to? I can guarantee Denzel Washington listens to probably some Miles Davis,
some Mo Better Blues type of stuff.
Well, some older black guy stuff. You know what I'm saying? Right. I still feel like I'm around we're talking about people in their 50s. I'm in my early 40s. I'm still in that era where I grew up on the Cardi B's. I grew up on the Salt and Peppers. You know what I'm saying? Like, as we're talking about as a child. Yeah. You know what I mean? I was a child saying fuck the police, listening to NWA. A child.
Right.
So Kamala wasn't. Kamala's a grown woman already. Like that means she had stuff that she was. where your Funkadelic at? Where your Parliament at?
Claims that she was smoking weed in the early 80s to Snoop Dogg.
And that's why she had all those people arrested for smoking weed. I don't know anybody that really smoked weed like that. That feels, like it's just like there's a certain level of hypocrisy. Even a politician won't go.
Right.
Like if you smoke weed, man, it's like nah, I'm not sending nobody to jail for smoking weed, man. Like
Right.
it's just you're part of a club, man.
Right.
I don't think she smoked no weed, and her father. That's why our father kind of disowned her, which is another topic. What's up with that?
Well, and we've opened up ourselves to a lot of infiltration because we're so welcoming and we're easily impressed. So it doesn't take much for somebody to say, "Oh, I can play the sax,
right,
and I'll play some Miles Davis on the Arsenio Hall show,"
right.
Or it doesn't take much for Bill Clinton, right? I have to keep in mind.
And you got to think he fooled like one of the greats. He fooled Toni Morrison. Like Toni Morrison is the one that said Bill Clinton is, the first black president. Like for her to say it, that's a very large statement. Maybe she didn't understand who she was,
the gravity of that. Yeah,
right. But it's who can be fooled by these people that I'm always concerned about.
Right.
Like I just can't imagine, and maybe I'm wrong. Like I don't want to be in everybody. I don't want to count nobody's pockets here. I just can't imagine Toni Morrison needing that money. But I don't know, man. Like I've never been in those positions. I don't know the mindset. I want to imagine you don't need the money, but I don't know. Like maybe
We got to remember how Bill Clinton got into place. He got into place by putting the pro-black people in their place with the bourgeois
soldiers, right.
And so you had people like Cornel West talking down to Sister Soldier. Maya Angelou even said something snide about Sister Soldier. I was shocked.
Did she? Former pimp Maya Angelou, huh? Things change with time. Though people get older, man, and they forget where they come from. So there's that.
Right. So
I'm gonna have to look that one up.
Yeah.
Sister Soldier ain't changed though.
Yeah, right. Right. So Anais, do you have anything to say about that? Why it's so easy to infiltrate the black community being non-black?
Yeah, because it's like a cool factor. So as soon as you present a cool factor, you can sneak in the back door and say, "Hey, all right, here's the 3 strikes. You're out."
Yeah, right.
Here's the
Exactly.
3 strikes, you're out.
Exactly.
I'm gonna play the saxophone while I do it, but 3 strikes and you're out. And then all of the Rockefeller laws. You have to think about the Rockefeller laws. So I'm just going to creep in here a little bit. I'm going to make you do a little dance because you like to dance.
You from New York, right? You from
I'm from New York.
Yeah. Because not too many people ever mention the Rockefeller laws, right?
Yeah.
Right.
It was a lot of black people that were on the particular bandwagon too, man. That's why I always have a problem with. Like Trump, there's a lot of things I would criticize Trump for. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I have a hard time. There's certain things I have a hard time criticizing him for because, New York was a different place, and it was just you hate to say it, man, but it was kind of a different world in the black sphere. You know what I'm saying? Like it was we headed for self-destruction, and people kind of had that mentality.
Mm-hmm.
And she's right. The Rockefeller law, that was a great call. That was a great
right. And so when we look back at how the pandering to the black community to screw the black community happens time and time again, just like I felt President Barack Obama had the same type of background as Kamala almost, except for he didn't go to a HBCU. I feel like President Barack Obama was raised by Muslim, a white
And
woman,
then they went
and
out.
then raised by his white grandparents.
Because they went. Him and his mother. She married some guy. They went to India. I think they
Right.
stayed there for a period of time, and then
He
he
was
was
royal.
raised for Hawaii. He was royal.
No, his mama went for rich Muslim men, so of color. So
She had a type.
she had a type, honey, and you know, so and then his mother sent him to his grandparents for high school in Hawaii,
Right.
and then from high school he went to elitist college, Occidental in
Occidental.
Cali,
Very
and
big. Very
yeah,
big.
then to Harvard.
Hard for his masters.
So when we look at his background, where did he have this black
Black
influence
experience. Right.
culture?
Right.
And
It doesn't exist until Michelle.
right, and then he had to disavow the part of black culture, the black church,
Right.
that solidified his blackness. So that's how it seems like we keep falling for these people who don't truly have the black experience coming in, regulating on us. And so even to this day, Barack Obama influenced LeBron James not to boycott the NBA. And so I see time and time after again, I'm like, pander, destroy.
Right.
So yeah, and we talked about one fictional Black Panther. I would like to recognize a Black Panther who recently had a birthday, even though he's in the ancestral realm. Fred Hampton. His Earth Day is August the 30th, and so his life story is interesting. He actually grew up outside of Chicago.
Right.
And
I believe his mother. I read somewhere that his mother and Emmett Till mother was cool. I think they like I think one of their mama babysitted the other.
Mhm.
Like they was real close to those people.
Yes, and so his family was middle class, right? And so he had a 2-parent household. Not that is a big factor to me. It's worth mentioning. And he grew up middle class. But even middle class in Jim Crow segregation is still second class.
Right.
Oh, she left. So his life story revolves around educating himself and his awareness and studying the law, using the law to the fullest extent to defend himself and his neighborhood. And so he did a lot of community work with the People's Clinic. He did educational classes every morning at the break of dawn. And he also made the real Rainbow Coalition Messy Jesse. I'm sorry, Jesse Jackson.
No, I think that's important because I think Chicago, I think like Oakland's got its story, Chicago's got its story, and the East Coast got, as far as the Black Panthers got their story, and I do think it's important to kind of highlight how much work the Panthers in Chicago was doing with the Latins as well as the white people,
Right.
as well as the the weathermen, the anarchists, and things of that nature. Without it being an absorption, with it being a strong, we're this, you're that, but we're going to help you, and a united front, and not just this merging or this blending.
Right. Exactly. And so, when I look at the history of Black people, right? I almost feel like when there's the height of violence, a lot of it is allowed to happen or it's agitated. Um, you know,
Say that
I, be-
again.
I believe the height of the violence in the Black community is allowed to happen a lot of times, or it's agitated in a lot of ways. And so I feel like the prevailing fear for a lot of people to let out our OGs, right? Who have,
Right.
they always get a terrible amount of time,
Yeah.
right? Uh,
Basketball numbers, not just football numbers, basketball numbers.
right.
Right.
And so, I felt like they could have let Tookie off the hook.
Me as well.
Uh, I, I think Larry Hoover, if he was out in Chicago, I think a lot of he knows how to talk to the youth. You know,
I think at least the opportunity would be there, and I think that they're trying to make sure that that opportunity that pocket of opportunity is never created. I
right,
feel the same way with even like certain activity. I feel like they don't want to exist. It can't be the story of Mumia coming out in a particular kind of way can't occur because of his association. The same thing with how they put it, they Asada Shakur has kind of been in exile for most of my life.
right,
And so they can't change that narrative, which is why Obama has to put her back on the FBI most wanted list. You know what I mean?
right,
Like that story and that energy can never be, released. I was surprised they even let Geronimo out. You know what I mean? And he should have came home to a hero's welcome. A lot of like I can't necessarily say what could be guaranteed. Yeah. And that's my thing. Like, I can't guarantee what would happen if these people were released. I
right,
just feel like they have a better shot at it than anybody else.
right,
And they have a testament, and they have a story that if it can be told, I think it begins to paint the system in a particular way. But at the same time, I mean, they let Freeway out, and I'm not quite sure what his influence is right now. You know
right,
what I mean? Somebody who is central to the discussion of the crack era. This is like the central point on how this happens. And I don't really like, outside of the Vlad interviews, like I'm not really, and I'm not knocking the man 100. It's your life to live. It's not my life. But I do feel like, I don't know. I guess in some ways I expected something else, I guess, but I don't know why.
Well, Anais, we were just talking about Fred Hampton, and we briefly went through his life story and his life's work. We mentioned the Rainbow Coalition that he created, uniting different gangs in, gangs in
Organizations.
organizations in Chicago. Without blending, they unified without co-opting each other, so to speak. And so what did you find interesting about the life story or life work of Fred Hampton?
Well, what I also looked at is that the programs that he has started, as far as with the breakfast program,
Right,
that was going to be important because the children weren't getting the nutrition that they needed. So that was a jump start. Actually, for them to actually, what they do now is they have a breakfast program at school now,
right,
but they didn't have that then. People weren't going to school in the morning and getting that breakfast. So bringing forth that breakfast in the morning, jump starting the nutrition of the children.
Right.
Absolutely,
Definitely.
absolutely, absolutely.
Yes. And we talked about the People's Clinic. We talked about his
Yeah.
educational classes he did bright and early in the morning, every morning, on politics in particular.
Right.
And
Him and Mark Clark were really interesting people, and I get it that the sensational part of the conversation is always going to be what catch everybody's attention, the guns. But
right.
I personally do believe that the more dangerous thing was what Anais is saying. These breakfast programs, these communal programs, these
Right.
people were practicing communism or socialism or communalism, whatever language you need.
Egalitarianism.
Egalitarianism. They were practicing it, not like talking about it, they were practicing it. They were, it was from each to the one to from those who needed to those, from those who have it to those who need it.
Right.
And by all means necessary. They did a lot to get these things. I do believe that the more important image, I think the guns are important. I think it's important for us to see. I guess we'll have to talk about NFAC at some point tonight.
Right.
I do think it's important for us to see that level of militance, but I think it's more important for us to see all of those bags of groceries that they were giving to the people in the community.
Right.
You know what I mean? I think it is important to see the breakfast programs, feeding these young children, and to understand that this wasn't an arm of the propaganda. This was what they was doing. This was why they were established. And I think, because I do think we get a little too lost in the idea of the shotguns and, oh my God, the leather jackets and
Right.
Huey was that dude. I think we get lost in that and we forget that they had a political ideology that they
Right.
had in play, in motion,
Definitely.
from Cali to Chicago to Philly and North Carolina, New York.
Yes. And so he also did weekly rallies. I think that's really important.
Right.
I know that a lot of times, like when people join together, whether it be under a religious context or whether it be under a social context, if you go to a basketball game and people are uniting, if you go to a concert and people are uniting under the same cause, to be motivated, to be energized, that can cause the community to want to mobilize, and not just for a reactionary
Right.
reason.
Something long term.
Exactly. Definitely. And so, how exhausting must it be? I know how exhausting it is to just do one pep rally once in a while.
Right.
I was a jock in high school and college, so I could only imagine doing it weekly and finding the space.
And it was a lot of people there too, and not just people. It was always a mixed crowd. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And at that era, that was what they were doing. Like, we always get pictures of Woodstock and shit, but there were a lot of political rallies and a political protests. What got H. Rap Brown in trouble?
That's right.
They really, people really went out to see and listen to, the political the discussions of their time.
Right. So I would like to move on to the topic of the upcoming movie that's based on his demise.
Yeah. I'm not feeling it. I'm not feeling any of them. I'm not feeling any of them. I didn't feel any of it. I haven't felt anything in a long time, for real, man. I'm just not feeling it. I feel like it's the co-op. I just feel like it's Black Lives Matter on the floor of the NBA bubble. I just don't feel it, man. It's Sprite talking about Black Lives Matter. Like, yeah, right, man. Like how can this be for anything other than some type of how can this be for anything other than money?
Right.
And I'm not one of those people. I understand representation. I promise I get the concept. it's just not something I buy into like that. I think representation it it has to be
For the people, by the people.
it has to be for the people, by the people, and it
Right.
has to be controlled in a particular kind of way, man. It's not exactly representation when the people who are putting it out really don't represent the people.
Right.
Representation mean you come when I say I represent, that means I am established where
Right.
I'm from. I'm established by that which I represent. And I
Right.
got to go back to them. And if I represent them wrong, I got to pay a particular price for that wrong representation. And that's
Exactly.
what representation should be. And I don't feel like that's what we've had. We've had, you know, we had a lot of people on the big screen, got a lot of people getting some jobs, and that's
Right.
cool because we should be against unemployment to some degree.
Right.
But at the same time, it's not like a whole lot of that money is flowing back to us.
No.
It's leaving us, and it stays with a bunch of people who already had a whole lot to obviously to finance a whole damn movie.
Right.
I'm not. I, when have they done any of these movies right? Like Harriet, like that's what to me that was the last straw, man. Like I was like, all right, that's it, man. You know, if I had any faith that I had in guys, you know, it's been gone.
Maybe
Um,
12 Years a Slave. I thought maybe they showed a
even then,
Freeman.
I felt like that particular choice. I felt like that particular choice had a particular message.
Definitely.
I think there's a certain white saviorism to that, and I feel like there's a whole lot with BLM. I'm answering. I was looking at that. There's a lot going on with BLM. I want to be real careful about how we address BLM, man, because there's the actual organization, and then there's this miasma of activity that goes under the umbrella of Black Lives Matter.
Right.
And it's like, you know, I do feel like at some point Garcia should have, you know, can we get a trademark on that or something, dog? Like, can you like let us know when you have initiated something, because
Right.
it has just become something that entered the culture, and not anybody can. It's in the public domain. And I feel like, you know, if you're going to play in the United States of America, you're going to have to play the business game. You know what I'm
Definitely.
saying? It these organizations have incorporated. It's the mosque incorporated. You know,
Yes,
these,
right.
you know, people they understand that I have to incorporate. It's why, you know, it's NOI as a religion, it's NOI as this business franchise as well. And I
Right.
think if you're going to play the game, you need to be mindful that your for lack of a better word, your brand property needs some form of licensing, and we need you to be accountable when we see Black Lives Matter. I do agree with that. I just feel like right now, what Garcia's got going on, and what all of these small what all these small local entities, local cadres are doing is one thing, and then there's every damn thing else that's just like anybody can spray paint BLM on something, and it's like
Right.
that's it. It's like I can take Nike sign and put it on anything. That's just not
Right.
how that game's supposed to work. So I do agree with that. But yeah, I had my thoughts about 12 Years a Slave, just that particular story. I'm glad the story got out there.
Right.
I would like to see okay, I even thought Nate Parker. I even thought what Nate Parker did, sans his own personal life story, tarnishing it.
Right.
I even
Nat
thought
Turner.
what Nate Parker did was a horrible treatment of the Nat Turner story. This
Right.
you couldn't have did a worse job. Like I'm
Right.
almost glad your past crept in to do what it did, because I was like, oh, this is horrible. This should never have made it. This no wonder Fox, no matter a vehicle by Rupert Murdoch gave you money for this. Obviously, nigga,
Right.
obviously.
Right.
So yeah, so even with that, you know, like I would like to see certain images on the screen. I watch movies. I like entertain. I like to decompress every now and then. I do watch a particular. I have my own type of shit that I like to watch. Excuse my language. There are certain things that I like to watch, but I'd be interested in something a little less whitewashed. Can we get like a Blue Hill Avenue level production of Denmark VC or something like that,
That would
or
be
the
interesting.
Maroons,
Yeah.
and that's where I would be in that conversation
I want a
until
black Egypt. I want a black Pharaoh. I want a black
okay.
Queen Nefertiti. I want a black Queen Nefertari. I want. I don't want Elizabeth Taylor.
And I don't want the mummy either. I don't want it to be a horror film either. I don't want Imhotep to go down in history as a damn, an evil mummy. And I don't understand why. I respect Islamic Arabia. Can I say that? Like, because there's a lot of different countries, dog. The Islamic, I respect Islam, the Islamic fundamentalists there.
Right.
Despite what's been said, I respect that you can't just take their images and do anything you want with them. I respect that. I respect that if you take anything of their culture, man, and you put it on the screen, man, you got a price to pay.
That's
I
right.
respect it. I think that's how culture should be. You can't do it. The Jews not finna you can't even just say Jew. You know what I'm saying? Without the ADL breathing down your neck.
Right.
Like, so I feel like black people have got to learn. We have to begin to define what's sacred, and we got to start standing on that.
Definitely.
It because it's so many of us, and then because the ideas, because we're just coming into this, we're just really getting into this nation, this people thing. Like, it's everybody else kind of got their thing going for a while, but we are a mixture, very diverse histories have come together for us to exist. So we all kind of got our own little idea of what should be going on. Right. But I do think we should have a table, and we should be coming to the table and saying, hey, before they do this, man, we need to talk about it.
Exactly. Do you have any thoughts on Judas and the Black Messiah movie, Anais?
Yeah, well, I do support black. I do support
obviously.
I do support black film and things of that nature, but something about it, they're not gonna tell the story right. They're just not gonna tell the story right. It's gonna be Hollywood. It's gonna be. They're not gonna like how they did with James Brown's story. James Brown owned all those black owned businesses, radio stations, and all that. You didn't see none of that in the actual film. So you see him dancing and he's doing his thing, but that man was a businessman.
That's right.
Hip hop. If it wasn't for James Brown,
right. So he owned his music too,
or Michael Jackson, or Prince.
Oh my God. Right. Yeah. So nobody's gonna tell the story right. So I want to be
that's where I'm at with it. Like, even with what they did, there is this thing. Okay, I said it about Coogler, so let's talk about Ava DuVernay. I felt the same way I felt about Coogler. I feel about Ava DuVernay, maybe even maybe a little less. I feel like at least Ava has, and I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing, but I do feel like at least Ava has Oprah. So she can make a few more moves. She can say no a few more times. Okay, yeah, I know because,
I get that as a benefactor.
Right. Right. Yeah, she's got the money. And I feel like Coogler has to deal with these white people. He's got to deal with Sylvester Stallone. He's got to deal with, he's got to treat Oscar Grant in a particular kind of way. He's got to have, he's got to kill Killmonger off. He's got to, Killmonger has to say, what he says. I do feel that Oprah. Let me deal with Oprah later. I feel like Ava DuVernay took the story of King, and all they wanted to do was make it like this gossip story about the man's private life. I get it. I get it. King's a human and all this other extra shit. But so what, man? So is Thomas Jefferson. We would never tell. We have yet to see a movie of Thomas Jefferson raping a 12-year-old girl or
Right.
or taking her to, what was it? He went to Europe with a 12-year-old slave, right?
Right.
That's how Sally Hemings' story gets out into the public. We're not telling those stories. We don't, white people have protected their heroes.
That's
And
right.
we kind of got to put the same kind of protection on ours. Yeah, we know and we
Yeah.
tell our children, but that ain't for everybody. Like, this whole damn movie was about that. And I didn't like the way y'all kind of, like, that was a milquetoast representation of Malcolm X, man. Malcolm X was a goddamn gorilla, man. That dude was from the streets, man.
That's right.
like at a time when you had to be somebody to be from the streets. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I feel like there's been this this need to emasculate Malcolm X, to make him this, this watered down dude. So the power of his life is taken away from the young people who would look up to him. But yeah, I feel like the same thing with Ava, man. I feel like they're just not going to tell these stories properly, man. They only want to say one thing, right? Detroit Red. They want to send a particular message through these movies, and they want to use black people to send those messages. I just don't think they're going to do it. I just don't think they're going to do it any justice. I think something's going to be wrong.
And that's why I was suggesting we should crowdfund somebody with a vision that can bring into fruition what we desire for our representation to be. And if the box office comes to us and says, hey, we see it gaining traction, let's try to mass produce it, so be it. But
I agree. I think like I was saying, I think you need to have like if Tyler Perry can get, and I like Tyler Perry's, I like his plays. I like a lot of his plays. Most of his stuff that made to the screen, I really wasn't feeling. By that time, it was a whole new ball game. Medea
Right.
was something totally different by that time.
Right.
I do feel like if Tyler Perry can start at that level, I don't understand why, like you're saying, somebody can't start at a beginner level with a storyline that would be more appropriate. And I do feel like I think it should be like what they did with like Third World Press, black publishing companies, like don't just crowdfund the project, crowdfund the business, the machine that will keep producing more and more of these products, so that you don't just have one and then we all like, well, okay, that was fun. It has to be a continuous thing. But yeah, I think that's a great idea. I think we need, even if it's not, even we don't make $1 million off of it, you know what I'm saying? As long as we make profit,
Profit.
but and we get the message out, because those are the things that matter. And
That's
I think,
right.
and make it good entertainment. Let's respect the arts,
Right.
But yeah, I absolutely think that's a great idea. I'm 100%.
And so my thoughts on the trailer, because the movie is not going to be released until 2021, of Judas and the Black Messiah. I wish they would focus more on his entire life's work and not just his demise. It looks like from the film,
Right.
it is going to be simply on a rat.
How do we get here? Yeah, and I don't. I have my thoughts about the concept of agents in that era. I think like we have romanticized even. Let me say it like this: a lot of romanticization has occurred, and I think that a lot of people didn't get to tell their story. And I think we have a tendency to just at the minute the FBI file comes out, you were right, you were this and you were that. And I want to be real careful, because I didn't grow up in that time. I don't know everybody's position. And I do feel like a lot of things, there are certain instances where, yeah, this is kind of obvious, dog. You set the crew up. That's what that was. And then there are other moments where I feel like I like to see a little bit more of the story. There are some people who've got an FBI file that looks real interesting. You did some talking. You did a little talking there.
Al Sharpton.
More well, he's a kind of an
Before
obvious.
him.
I wouldn't even like. I mean more like the
But he's on
Akoas.
file. He's on
Well,
file.
absolutely, and in a hell of a way. I don't even. I mean people that like the guys who supplied guns to the Panthers
Definitely.
and what happened, man. Like you were pretty solid. What happened? And the people like what's the guy who said Mark Clark and Fred Ham, like that's like this is obvious. Like this is an obvious, like you start the conversation off as you're an agent, basically. You're trying to get all the whatever problem you had, and you were willing to do that. You too, Ron L. You too. Have a great one. But I do feel like there are some people whose names are on some FBI files, and I feel like what happened. You contributed this to the cause, and so I never contributed that much to the cause. So I have a hard time belittling you. I have a hard time
So
looking
does
down
it
on you.
count if you contribute to the cause for
It
the
depends
cause
on what you,
demolishing the cause?
and that's where I'm at. Like I have to be willing to say I'm a listen. I'm going to give you asylum. You've got my ear. I'm willing to research your story because most of these people did.
Yeah.
I'm willing to research your story, and I'm interested in what are we saying here? What's true and what's false? Because I'd be
Right.
damned if I just take the FBI word on everything.
Yeah, you can do that.
I
And
mean, mhm. Yeah, I
the FBI's
Thank you.
story,
Right.
and then of course they're going to be a whole Hollywood, sugarcoat
Right.
just,
Right.
just to sell, just to sell people on something, and a lot of that stuff probably didn't even really happen.
And
So
that,
really.
and that's the problem because there's going to be a ton of revision in this. It's going to be a fictional take. It's
Well,
going to
it's
be
not a
fiction.
documentary. I
It's not a
mean,
documentary, and I would even question the documentary.
I
But
agree
yeah,
with you.
but right, this here is going to be this is fiction. They've got a whole room of writers
Right.
and people who creative writers, people who spent the last 4 years of their life writing fantasy and shit. They're
Right.
going to sit down and they're going to tell this story.
aren't they black writers on this?
I mean, yeah, but nah, like, okay, like with Empire, you know what I'm saying? You had a lot of black writers in that room, but all of them had to cater to Danny Strong
Right.
and Eileen. I can't think of her name.
Whatever her
So
name.
so
Shaken.
yeah, that's it. That's
Yeah.
it. You be on it. So there's going to be there are going to be black people around. Of course, they got to have those around. It's going to be a diversity issue. But who's in charge?
Right.
Who is saying, yes, I like this idea? No, that's a horrible idea. Go sit your ass down. And typically that person is white or very white influenced.
And even still, like with a movie production, executives will watch a movie and send it right back to the director and say, you have some continuity issues right here. We don't like this storyline. We want you to do it this way. There's
And the
always
FBI is going to have their fingers all
definitely.
over this. There is no way that they are. You can't produce a movie that talks about any agency without an agent representative on the set.
Right.
So that in itself. Same thing happened. This will be at best, and I almost think they should have just went this direction with it. At best, this will be what's the Spike Lee joint?
Black Klansman.
Black Klansman. This will be that. If at best, the
Right.
best we're going to get out of this, and I don't even know it's going to be that good.
Yeah, and I just have it just has a bad taste in my mouth about that movie. And ultimately, we know that his demise had these 3 government agencies involved, right? And so Fred Hampton was actually elevating pretty quickly in the Black Panther organization because of COINTELPRO. They were picking off, leader after leader. And so his position kept elevating because of that void.
That
Uh,
vacancy.
and so, it's not necessarily what he desired. I don't feel as though he was ambitious in
Right.
that.
Right, because
Um,
he was somebody who did believe in patience. I think it's
right.
kind of obvious from what he said that he's somebody that we're not just gonna run out here and do nothing. We're gonna plan, and we're gonna make sure that whatever we do has some polish on it. We're gonna think, yeah. I didn't see him as an opportunist at all.
Yeah.
I didn't read that from any of the things that I say. Everything that I've heard of him is, it seems like, they're about, slow motion, organized, effective in efficiency, of course, but slow motion. Let's make sure we get this right. I think
Exactly.
he understood what he was working with better than I understood anything at his age.
Right. And so, yes, and being that you actually look at most of the Panthers, they all originally came from nonviolent organizations. He came from the NAACP originally, and a lot of other Black Panther members came from SNCC. And so most of the Panthers were either really educated,
Brown.
Right.
yeah, and they already had experience with other organizations,
Organization. Yep.
and they had a network amongst other
A
activists.
huge network.
Yeah, they had huge networks, and they even had a lot of them had international networks.
Right. Right.
And so you didn't have just the Black Panthers, I feel, were attacked because of that international outreach. Um, and they were turning a lot of things upside down, in my opinion. And, the United States has always had this McCarthyism
Right.
um,
Right.
ideology when it comes to different systems of economics and politics.
Mhm.
And so that fear of, wow, these Negroes
Have figured it out.
That's big.
dismantle everything.
Yeah. Kill as many as you can. Make sure the kids are scared as hell to do this again, and any of them that survive, give them some red and blue rags. But yeah, so I absolutely agree with that. I think I find it interesting that, and I want to be careful here. I find it interesting that the organizations that survive so much of that stuff were more of a more religious leaning, and the ones that had political leanings were more, and you know, they talked a good game, but they weren't like actual communalists. They weren't actually giving back to the community in that way, and they weren't actually in the communities in that particular kind of way. And
Right.
I mean, even like right now, and I want to be careful, like NAACP, their legal program, man, is, you know what I'm saying, but everything else is kind of like,
Right.
you guys can use a little help there, and there are other organizations that I feel like, yeah, I kind of been stuck for about 30 years, homie. Yeah, I have not really advanced cause any. Um, but I do feel like, the Panthers were eliminated. Same thing with what I feel like Move. My analysis of Move is a little bit different than my analysis of the Panthers. And I analyze each office of the Panthers differently. I look at Oakland differently than I look at LA. I look at LA differently than I look at Oakland differently than I look at what was in North Carolina, what was in New York, what was in Philly, yada yada yada.
Right.
I think all of them, each group had their own specific kind of problems. But I do feel like that particular element, the social, economic, and political element, is what got them destroyed, crushed in the way that they got crushed.
Exactly.
They had to be toppled if that became the culture for everybody, for all young Black people. If that had been as popular as the Crips and Bloods are right now today, or as popular as hip hop is today, it would have been a problem in the United States of America. And that's the direction that they was going in.
Right. And so you know, like I said, they had allies, real allies,
Globally.
not just this vague term of
Right.
white supremacy is bad.
White privilege. I'm going to own my privilege. Right. Now it was a little bigger than that. It was bigger.
Yeah, it was
Assad is still in Cuba.
right. She's still at large, and you know, we may never see her if we don't go to her.
Right.
So, and she might die in Cuba or wherever else she may be. And so I just want to keep in mind, what you want this? Stop that, baby. Okay, you're welcome. Yeah, and so we have to keep in mind that with any type of organization that is anti-capitalism, we have to keep in mind that they're going to come down with the full force because of, I don't know, 1940s fascism, 1950s socialism, communism, 1970s African revolutions, and so forth.
80s Iran Contra and so on.
Contras, right. And so they're going to constantly come against. That's why Gaddafi was, you know, boom. That's why, you know, all of a sudden these people are terrible people that we've been in cahoots with for 30 years.
Yeah,
Plus,
who USA is financed and armed and all kind of shit, trained and
yes, exactly. And so when we keep in mind how insidious the powers that be can be when it comes to taking down all enemies, then we have to just remember that they're going to come with everything they have. Fred Hampton had the Chicago PD, the FBI, and the CIA there. I was the CIA there because they said he had international outreach.
Right.
And so
it probably did.
Huh?
It probably
he probably did. but you know, pregnant girlfriend in the bed, you know, early in the morning, you know, they did not care about what was going on. They just knew he had to go.
And they wanted the community to know. They wanted everybody to know, which is the other problem that I have with some of these. I'm somebody who, when these videos come out, I want to see the video because I want to make sure that I saw what needs to be seen. I don't want to be going off. I don't want, because you felt a way about something. I want to be able to experience for myself. I want to witness this for myself. I want to know what's going on for myself. Right. When it comes to these movies, however, I don't know how many times I want to relive slavery through the eyes of white people. I don't know how many times I want to relive these assassinations of our leaders, because this is a form of emasculation and conditioning. Right. I don't know how many times I need to see this because I understand why you're doing it. You're not going to show me, you know, how he organized these communities. You're not going to, you know, show me how this actually occurred. I know what you're not going to show me. So I'm concerned about what you've decided to show me, and what is that going to do to my mind as well as my child's.
Right. And so, Anais, what do you think about the conditioning these movies do concerning the assassinations? I know I didn't feel comfortable with the Malcolm X assassination. They kind of oversimplified it. Right. Get your hands out of my pocket, but we didn't see the conversation between him and the agent that allowed. Never mind.
but there's a lot, and even with Spike Lee, because Spike Lee did take a particular position, and I'm not quite sure I disagree with that position, but I do think that there are other positions that ought to hear their side of it. There are some. I felt there were some things about Spike Lee's Malcolm X. A wonderful production, deep production. Denzel should have got the Oscar for, along with John Q. But I do feel like, there is a particular narrative, especially at that time when they were trying to bring down a nation. Farrakhan had reassembled it and it was growing pretty fast. It got to the point where they got a 1995 Million Man March. I do question what they've done since then, but they did get that off the ground. And I do feel like Spike Lee's Malcolm X kind of, it raised some points about the NOI and Farrakhan specifically and others specifically that I thought was dangerous.
Yeah. Yeah, but also with that, it's with the whole assassination movies, it's like
Right. Right.
oh, you want to stand up and do this? Oh,
This is what's going to happen. Exactly.
You know,
And that's
it's just a reiteration of
the power of the state.
Don't do that because
right.
you're gonna
get killed. Right.
You're gonna get this. You're gonna get killed. Your person. Somebody's gonna betray you in your group. You can't trust everybody. You gotta make sure you move in silence. You gotta make sure that you don't tell people your business. Things of that nature, so we can be skeptical about our own people
and the possibility of these organizations. Right.
And then preserve our own life, be skeptical, and then make ourselves vulnerable to whatever else needs to come out.
While paying for all of this. Right. Especially with popcorn prices. I ain't been out to no theater since COVID though. So I don't know how that's gonna be. I guess by 2020, I don't know. Like I don't see this clearing up. The deaths are steadily piling up. Like this isn't don't seem like this is clearing up any. So by 2021, they might still be.
Have you guys heard about them trying to rush a vaccine?
It
has to skip the stage in the trial process. I think they get to skip the double-blind experiment with the placebo effect, and they also get liability waived just in case it doesn't work out. Take at your own risk.
I think I'm of the Tuskegee mindset when it comes to this. I'm going to wait it out. I'm gonna hold my horses. Let me see what y'all how it works on you guys first.
Right.
And then I'll decide. Then I'll go on my mission of influencing those I need to influence or not. But I'm not fucking around.
Yeah, I'm not into that. No. I'm not into the whole getting poisoned.
Nah, not as no test run, and that's what they gonna do. They're gonna try to convince a bunch of black people in urban environments to try it, and we'll be the guinea pigs, just like we were with the syphilis experiment.
Syphilis, yeah.
So I'm like, nah, I'm good, man, and I'm telling everybody that I talk to, nah, you good too. So that's where I'm at with that as well. I just don't and I don't feel like I don't feel I guess I gotta preface this because of we're in an election season. I don't think Biden's gonna do better, but I don't think I'm not trusting Trump on nothing scientific or nothing medical, maybe business, and even then I'm gonna be like, you know what I'm saying? You got a few wins, but you got a lot of losses too. But when it comes to medicine and science, science is a very delicate field. It's a delicate process. It's not something that should be rushed. And no, this is medicine here, man. This costs people lives, man. When you go in to take these like when they do they pay you $4,000 to sit in for 4 weeks and do test experiments, man. They run a course of study on you, the participant, before they even let you in, man. So like it's a lot of things I expect to occur before we start passing something out to the public. And if that hasn't occurred, I don't want no parts of it, because that means I'm the test.
Exactly. And then you guys, I also wanted to touch. Did you say something? I didn't want to say.
I'm nobody's guinea pig.
That's right.
Nobody's right.
That's
nobody's
right. Right. That's right. And so Also, I wanted to touch briefly on this whole Twitter thing, TikTok thing. Africans claiming that Black Americans appropriate their culture. I said
This is back on
it
the
is
top of
well
the.
because
This is back
Africans
trending.
were defending Adele wearing Bantu knots.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And so we said, well, that she's appropriating our culture. And they said, you mean our culture. You are not my sister.
I can I mean if they free to say whatever they want to say, you know, if
okay,
there I'm listening.
can we say that Akon appropriated Black culture?
We can say that Akon was raised in our culture.
Okay.
And that we're, you know, what was going on, especially in St. Louis and in New Jersey. The cultures of St. Louis and New Jersey are very specific types of culture. You do not have a St. Louis anywhere on the continent of Africa. I promise you that. Or Jersey. I've been in both of these places, and St. Louis for a very long time, and now Jersey, really, you know, because of my wife, right? These are very specific types of cultures that do not exist on the continent of Africa. Any influence that you had, any socialization that you got in those places, and I have a hard time believing that these places didn't form you in some kind of way. Especially since this is where you got your streets from. They don't got them kind of streets over there, man. They got a whole different kind of thing going on. It's a whole nother style, and everything about you is informed by those lessons you picked up in those communities. So yeah, I don't want to say I want to be like that, but you came out of the factories that only exist over here. The socializing factories of St. Louis and New Jersey and whatever other plot spots he was at, that all of that's from her. You picked up that here. They wasn't doing that kind of rapping over there. They do that here. This is the way that it's done. I will say, you know, that you free to it though. You know what I'm saying? That's what come with coming up. You survived and you made it, and you get to express the culture. You know what I'm saying? I do think that Bantu Nas is part of my culture as well. Like I am from that. You know what I'm saying? Like that came with the genes that I came with when we got brought over. Right, exactly. That came with the genes when we came across that water. When, you know, which one of y'all ancestors y'all proudly claim sold mine, that came with us. All of this, it came with the package. It was brought, it didn't, you know, we didn't leave it back there. So we get to talk about it. We get to deal with it. And while I have my own thoughts about Adele or whatever, like whatever, you know what I'm saying? But if this the battlefront, if Black women feel a particular way, if this feels like Bo Derek and 10 with the corn rolls or whatever, then if this is the conversation, then I'm gonna say, yeah, we have the right to say, hey, you know, that's ours. You know, can we get a look cut of that? Can we get some acknowledgement or something? And if Africans feel like they want to say something different, that's what's up. We have been socialized a lot differently. Like we haven't black women and Black men as well. We haven't done bleach skin bleaching and bleaching creams, things like that. We haven't done that really since like the 30s and the 40s. Like we've been off of a lot of these things for quite some time, and in many parts of the continent of Africa, that's still a very big thing. We're not really like we hold on to our celebrity culture, you know what I'm saying, because we like nice shit. We like things that we like shiny stuff, but you know, we're not quite like certain cultures in Africa that still look to the British crown. You know what I'm saying? That's a big thing to them. You know, that's an event, and to us, that's like okay, okay. We like Princess Di. That's about it. You know, and so I do feel like we've suffered through some things differently. We came out differently. And I feel like that's one of those points of discussion. You kind of want them to borrow your culture so you can kind of ride this wave where we're looking like, nah, dog, y'all been riding our wave for too long. You got jazz, you got rock, you got too much, man. We can't let you have everything. Let us get our stuff back, man.
Exactly. What are you gonna say, Anais?
I mean, everything.
Everything.
I mean,
Right.
everything. Nothing's off the table.
Nothing.
Right.
I mean,
Off the table.
food, to music,
Lips.
to lips. Yeah, lips.
But yep.
Butt, breasts. Like nothing that's off the table. So you telling me that you going in like a butcher coming for the full
Chopping up
slaughter,
everything.
chopping up everything, and then you're making
Literally.
it lukewarm when it's hot.
Right.
You're making it
Right.
lukewarm. I mean, if you're gonna copy something, make it hot.
Yeah, right.
So,
Add some flavor to it. Don't take flavor from it.
We're not a lukewarm people. We're not a little warm. No, hot.
We hot.
That's it. Right. So don't sprinkle your little whatever you trying to sprinkle on it.
And Adele has taken a lot. Like, I like Adele, but it's kind of obvious where Adele's influences from. Well, it's even more obvious now. And I do think this goes back to kind of the Rachel Dolezal conversation and the conversation with Kamala, and this thing where black women are kind of you're kind of outsourcing swag, for lack of a better phrase. You're outsourcing this energy, this style. And you're not getting a lot of credit for it. And let's just be realistic. I like Lupita, but Lupita's taking notes from sisters from over her. You know what I mean? All of them are taking notes from sisters from over her. You looking at Janet and copying, and you looking at B, and I don't care what B say she is. You from Houston, Texas. You get yours from out this way. So I do feel like yeah, we all share this heritage. We all got the same inheritance, but some of us spent it a little differently. Right. And so, you guys don't really have any representatives on that are loud enough for me to say she's copying you. No, she's getting that because we made that we made that spark. Like she said, we made that hot.
Right. Right. And so, I told somebody in Queen Tavon, shout out to her. I said something.
Shout out to Queen Tavon.
Right. I said to somebody in our comments, I said, how am I appropriating from my ancestors' culture?
It's my inheritance, dog. It came with the body, man. It came with the package.
I think a lot of it is this divisiveness because of colonization on both ends of the diaspora. And so, they think they better because, they come from a different country. They feel like they earned everything they got. They don't know that they get a whole lot more advantages being immigrants in this country than like being born here and having to deal with being born into debt.
Our forebears, played a lot. We just talked about, people. These are people that lost their life, man, with their families. You know what I'm saying? Malcolm got killed in front of his family. That wasn't just, he got killed. Man got killed in front of his family for his beliefs.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So that I could have, a sense of militancy. So I can have an understanding of, okay, that's what it's supposed to look like. By the time his body falls, we talking about the 70s before Black African immigration really become a for real thing in the United States of America. Prior to that, it wasn't what it is now. You got a lot of people from the islands, and they represent too. You know what I'm saying? I look at them as part of, you part of our story, more part of our story than that. Africa didn't send no troops to Haiti, but that's another conversation. Or Tripoli or any other islands. But that's another conversation. So the people who influenced us most, the people who gave their lives for us mostly, they already began opening the door where it was easier for African immigrants to kind of come over here and begin to get particular kind of jobs that, somebody auntie had to pick it for y'all to get to get in there like that, man. Now, y'all wasn't here, and you may not have read about it, you didn't hear about it because you was over there.
Right.
But now that we're telling you, you might want to honor that. Somebody has already paved the way for you. This ain't, it wasn't always like this.
That's right.
and we still paying.
Yes, right.
Yeah.
And we have to keep in mind that um this push for our Afrocentricity is recent in history.
It is.
Um,
It
you
is.
know, so before we've always been trying to assimilate into white culture. Well, not assimilate into white culture, assimilate into American culture with allowing them to take from our culture. So we started off with spirituals that turned into gospel, that turned into blues, that turned into
And even
R&B.
all of that was always like a part of everything that we've had is kind of like a part of like the struggle, the war. The spirituals start off as like code. This is
Right.
like war
Oh,
code language, and everything, even the jazz and the blues, all of the everything that came out of ragtime. All of this is code language and
yeah,
and a way of communicating survival.
right.
That's why it's the blues.
That's right.
And why rap feels the way it is, why the streets, why the more illicit underground activity, people involved in that were able to embrace hip hop in the way that they were, and why it worked so well for them, because in a lot of ways it had been designed by those kind of people as well. Most of revolution is illegal, you know what I'm
Right.
saying? And people like Malcolm X and the Hueys and all of that, they had already put their stamp on the culture, you know what I'm
Right.
saying? And so by the time the poets of that era, you know by the time it began to evolve into what we refer to as rap and hip hop, it had already been stamped. The code was already there, and Cass was able to just pick that up. It everything that we have is informed by the experiences that our people went through on these shores. Everything that we do is is invigorated by the struggle. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? And I think that's what we're more concerned about when we point out uh, um, misappropriation of things like that. It's not just it's not just crying, man. We point out, hey, look, man, we bang with them people. Like, I don't know what y'all going through. Y'all should still be banging with them. They did a number on that country.
Right.
But if y'all not, that's what's up. We still bang with them. We still got
I will
issues
go
with them.
as far out to say that Black Americans are the most conscious of the diaspora,
I think
hands
so. I
down.
think so.
Um, whenever we discuss things with, I remember stating this, and I don't mean any offense to any Christians, but someone said, "Oh, you can't have African culture because that's taking from us, and you guys used to make fun of us." I don't have any hangups from my childhood, and whatever hangups you have from your childhood
You
is
probably
not
need to
my.
go see somebody.
But also,
I'm
you
not
say,
tripping off nothing they called me when I was a kid, man. Come on, man. How is that as an adult? How is that a fair argument? Like,
right,
okay.
right, and so but even now, I'm saying this way, like, y'all assimilated into white Christianity. I've seen Senegalese people worshiping a white Jesus poster, and we're miles ahead of that. Our black churches, the AME church, got a black Bible characters in their Sunday school books. So y'all are comparing,
And
what I'm saying?
and the history of Black Christianity in the United States of America. We're talking about Nat Turner. You know what I'm saying? We're talking about
Right.
Delmar Invest. We're talking about people who
We're
tried
talking
to
about
kill their
Marcus Garvey
masses.
having a black
Marcus
Jesus too.
Garvey, right?
Right.
These are liberation theology. Now things have changed a lot, and the church isn't what the church used to be, but
Right.
its roots are in, once again, this was the secret council.
Right.
You didn't have a lot of places to gather if you're a slave in those days at antebellum. So you were allowed a church, and a lot of people, you could get killed if you could read, but you could read a Bible. There's
Yes, you would
somewhere you
literally
could
read
learn
the
how to read
Bible.
a Bible, and this
Right.
is where so most of in the United States of on this shore, most of the uprisings, at least at the organized level, was from the
It's the
clergy.
church.
It
Yeah,
was
definitely.
liberation theology, so our understanding of Christianity is a little bit different. Even Bookman Doody in Haiti.
Mhm.
Now in Africa, he probably was a Muslim, but once he got over here, he had to speak in a Christian. He had to read from the Bible, but it was the same. Still Elegba, still Oshun, still the Orisha, still whatever he had to call it, from
Right.
Allah to Jesus. He knew what to say when the time was right to say it. And I,
Right.
and yeah, so our understanding of religion is a lot different than I feel in places where the colonialization, I don't know, man, was a little bit more militarized than what we experienced over here. Not to say that we didn't have to deal with militaries. It's just,
I mean, they had to deal with Jesuits. I get it.
yeah, right. It just, I think there is a difference between. I think they had to suffer a form of neo-colonialism that was a little bit different than what we had to deal with. Our entire stay here has been kind of blatant, and I do think that the kings and queens of Africa, or the leaders of Africa, various nations, of course, they were making deals. So
Right.
there's this idea that my riches might protect me until they didn't. And for us, we kind of all started off at the bottom, and now we're here. We all kind of started in a particular situation, right? We all kind of started off in a particular situation. And even though the plantation had hierarchy and whatnot, we all kind of understood the game that was going on. Now we're going to call it different things and we're going to verbalize it in different ways. But I think even today, the average Black person understands politics of this nature at a much more sophisticated level than a person who still, you got your nation and you can't really see the rest of the white world, because your government is Black.
Right.
You don't understand what I see. My government, my mayor might be Black, but the rest of this shit is pretty white. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I got to deal with this, consistently.
Definitely. And you know,
Hell, even when my president is blacky white.
right,
Right.
right,
Because he told you. He
Yeah,
said,
right.
I'm not the Black president, I'm the president.
I'm the president. Right, right, right.
So he already told you that he was, well, don't go there, Anais.
Right, right, right.
That C word, and I
go
don't want
ahead,
to do that.
say it, say it,
Look at her.
What? You say it?
say it.
Because that got coonery. That's not a good look. And
Right.
I believe
That
that
is real though.
I think we had that whole perverted idea of Black president when we never really had that.
No, we
We
didn't.
never had that. I mean, and then we have to think about it historically. He wasn't the only Black president. All of them other ones
Right,
were
right,
passing.
right.
So maybe they want to look a little brown, got a little fro.
And that's and yeah, and then that's the thing. Like there are so many other experiences that US Blacks have had, like you said, the idea of for lack of a better word, mulattoes or have, well, however, because I want to be careful with that language as well.
Mulatto. Okay, we're gonna rock with it.
Yeah. I really took
We
it
the
far, didn't I?
horse, y'all the donkey.
Right. but we have so many different kind of conversations over here that are very different than the conversations you're going to have in any African country, really. And it's not
Right.
to say that there aren't forms of it there, but it's, our story is still a different story. We are a different part of the African conversation. We're a different part
Right.
of the Black conversation. And so we respond to things differently. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely. And so, this whole, I'm even seeing it like nowadays when you talk to Black people, that level of consciousness that we have from a collective experience. One thing we do know about is that glass ceiling. No matter how much money we come from, no matter what our backgrounds are, we all experience that. We all experience being the token Black person in a conversation in a professional setting. And so these are common bonds that not too many other groups within the diaspora have.
Because one is the United States of America, so there is this kind of even though United States hasn't always been as militarily dominant and as financially dominant as it was, during after World War II, right? It still influences things. America still has this kind of
we're the bullies.
Yeah, this legacy of military might and this legacy of financial dominance, regardless of what it really might have actually been. America is a bully and it talk a lot of shit, right? Which is going to kind of taint our blackness, our Black experience. Most of us are living isolated. We live in this isolated world. It's a lot of white people. It's predominantly white country. We would have to go to somewhere like a country in Africa for us to kind of get a feeling of what it feels like, where millions upon millions, the majority of people here everywhere, wherever I go, the majority is going to be Black. That's not something we understand, but it has influenced our survival mentality. It has given us something that it does give us a particular edge and a particular understanding. I mean, Jesus Christ, even Oprah don't even own all of her company. You know what I mean? Like, so it
Jay-Z don't own
real. Yeah, right. And it's very white. Tidal is so white. Tidal is so white. But yeah, exactly. So yeah, we've had to learn how to deal with a situation where the majority of the people here are not us, and they don't really like us for real.
They don't like
us.
They don't.
They play a good game. They I want to look at your music. Or I want to look at the graffiti that you just wrote on the subway.
I want your culture.
I want those things. Oh, I want to eat your food. I want to come to your side of the neighborhood. I want to get some of your food because that's tradition. Right. So I want to eat some of your food, and I'm gonna go back over here.
Right.
And, who are you again? Did I just patronize your restaurant?
Right.
That kind of game. So we're playing that back and forth, going across that net, boom, boom, knocking the ball, and it's just,
hey girl,
hey.
So it's playing a game. We're playing a way different game than what the people in the African countries are playing.
A totally different game.
Because we're the minority. Even though we're the global majority.
Yeah, but in the United States of America, it's fewer of us, and that's just something you have to accept. You have to deal with it.
But what if we were to receive our own reservation, to where if we wanted to migrate and get this piece of the pie that they owe us?
Where are you saying that would be? Like maybe in Africa, but even then,
they could give us a piece of land here.
The experience, I don't think the experience would change. You would still, we would fundamentally be what the Jews are into the European history. You know what I'm saying? This is
the Jews are claiming rights from some ancient time from
they
a book
are they have
completely 1,000%.
They have taken on an identity that may not be theirs. They may have absorbed the Falassi Jews' sacredness, but they do have a history in Europe that is much like they
So
just
then
got
let's just give
Israel.
them a
They
piece
don't
of land
have
in Europe. Why did they have to go to the Middle East? If Europe committed that sin, why are they transplanted in a place where there's people already there, displacing those?
because Europe wanted that land, and they and since you guys seem to have a problem with us over here, going to put you down there, and you break this new territory in for us.
Well, that was my whole issue, and we
the
also
the
pay.
problem is there aren't any African countries that have the military or the desire really to do for us what Europe was able to come together and do for their Jewish peoples. And I think that that's going to be, until that particular question can be resolved, I think that Black people, no matter where we're at, we're going to always have this issue of landlessness, as well as, and a group of people who have an identity, but we don't necessarily have enough
All
land to militarize. In the same way that Haiti was able to get land and militarize, they took the land, and were able to militarize it.
but
We
they
have
had
not.
to pay to keep that land. They had to pay.
That was a bad deal, man. Haiti got a
Yeah,
bad deal, man. And Africa was supposed to step in, you know what I'm saying? The UN should have stood up for Haiti a long time ago. That should have never been on the table. That was horrendous. That's horrendous. That, United States does not, the US has never paid reparations to Britain. You know what I'm saying? It's the same situation. They got y'all off the land that y'all took, and they never had to pay reparations to you. The French forced Haiti to pay reparations because the United States of America did have connections to other European countries. They had connections to Britain.
right.
So that's an interesting story. But yeah, I do feel like there is I do feel like without a particular kind of forcefulness, we're going to be we're constantly going to be dealing with this, or we're going to get absorbed. Either
Right.
Black people are going to become white people or whatever, or we're going to have to figure out a
By
way
2040, they
to
supposedly
militarize
they're not going to be any more white people. It's going to be more
something.
melanated, a hybrid of melanation.
The question is, what are people going to be claiming? Like, and I think that's something and that's why I give a lot of credit to Yvette and them for being able to get ADOS into the bloodstream, to get that into the conversation, because we're moving more and more towards that direction where you're going to have to be able to understand that everybody that look a particular way ain't come from the same story. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And we're going to have to show some empathy as well, because it's just the fucking right thing to do. Excuse my language. I hope they can't hear me.
No,
But yeah, I do feel like one of the problems that I have with reparations right now is I think the further we get away from let's say 18, even the 19, even like 19, even like 1950, 1960, the further we get away, the more people, the more white people will be mixing with Black people, the more African people will be mixing with Black people. We're
Latino
mixing.
and everything.
Yeah. We're mixing, and there's
Right.
no problem. I have no problem with that. That is what it is. We meet people, we like them. Okay, we have children. It happens. But there is a particular claim on the table for particular people with a particular bloodline, and I think the further we get away from the bigger points of the trauma, the harder it's going to be for us to get that money, or it's going to be diluted.
Right.
We'll be I don't know, we'll be like the Arabs and the Jews. We'll be a Semitic people. We really are already a Semitic people.
We are already.
We are Semitic, and I don't mean that just in a spiritual way or whatever. I mean as like
In lineage. Yeah.
biologically, we are a Semitic people. We're a
Definitely.
blended people.
Yeah,
We've got everybody's blood in us.
definitely. Definitely. Well, Black women have everybody's blood in them. We are every woman.
Absolutely,
I'm every woman.
absolutely,
It's all in me.
absolutely, absolutely, absolutely,
Mitochondrial DNA.
absolutely,
So I
absolutely,
can make a baby
absolutely,
like this. I can make a baby like this. I can make a
absolutely,
baby like I can
absolutely,
make
absolutely,
all of them.
absolutely.
Right.
So you know,
Without needing a whole lot of influence from the father. Absolutely.
right, right. And so you know, we just have to keep in mind that, you know, that spectrum of blackness. Duke Ellington had a song called Black, Brown, and Beige. Um, and it was to reflect the broad spectrum. Duke Ellington was on the lighter end of
Yeah,
the
right,
spectrum.
right, right.
But he had respect for like Dizzy Gillespie, who was on the other side of the
Right,
spectrum.
right.
And he felt he was just as black as him. So um, you know, then we have to keep in mind, you know, you can only claim it so much after a
Right.
while.
Right. And yeah, it's going to have to get specific, and and eventually it's going to break down into maybe not tribes. I think what LA has done with the street organizations, I don't think that's going anywhere. I think that's only going to expand, and I think that will have everybody's not going to buy into that. That's just it because of the culture, the way that culture is set up. Everybody's not joining the military. Everybody's not going to be on the front lines of their society's wars. It's just
Right.
not what's going to happen. Every culture, every Italian isn't a mafia member. It's just
Exactly.
that's
Right.
or a Japanese person isn't in the triads or whatever the hell. Whatever. Right, right. But I do think it will expand, and they will have a particular form of lineage. Over time, we'll start referring to those groups as ethnic groups because they'll have blended in such ways that it's the only thing you'll be able to call. Yeah, but I do think the rest of us will probably organize based upon our family,
Right.
things that we can prove, things that we feel connected to, and things of that nature. Um, but as a society, we're going to have to accept that we're going to be just like what happened to the rest of the world. The Chinese look a particular way, the Indians look a particular way, even countries in Africa, you look a particular way. You look like you're from Nigeria, dog. You look like, you look Yoruba, or you look Igbo. So it will happen here in the United States. We will mix, and it will happen. It will return to a for lack of a
Melon.
better phrase, yeah, it will return to that
Yeah.
eventually.
Back
That
to black.
I think Europeans are going to fight the whole Yakub story.
Mhm.
I think they're going to try to do what's told in that story. They're going to try to make sure that there is some separateness. They're gonna fight for whiteness. They're gonna fight for a biological whiteness.
Come on
And
home. Come on home. Come on home.
and we'll see. We'll see. I do think that everybody's got to when you get to that point, you're going to have you got to have a code.
Right.
My blackness can't just be based upon my skin color. It's got to be based upon
Your
like a
lineage.
religion or something. Yeah, it's got to be
Right.
based upon a belief system,
Political
something,
ideology.
a political ideology. It has to
Yeah.
be. It has to be based on something like that.
Yeah,
Culture.
because for me, you know, you had people that were trying to escape slavery, and then you had the people who are on the same plantation telling on those people, even
Right.
though they knew the consequences were dire.
Dire for everybody, really.
Yes, for them too.
Yeah, right. Exactly. For them too.
And so we have a whole bunch of people nowadays with a certain type of political ideology. It could be real left or real right.
Could be real life.
It's still mass, so we burn it. And
Yeah.
so
And I think that's a really great point because you got black people on the left and black people on the right that both will say, "Massa, we burn you.
Right.
Killer Mike really, and I like Killer Mike. I like him. I like
Right.
him.
I like them too.
But he really did come off on some, massive our house is burning. Like it
Right.
really was on that level. And he's about as left, he's very left as
He's
far
very
as, and so you're right. You're absolutely right.
There's and so I don't believe the left or the right has our best interest in
I
mind.
don't either.
I think one pretends more than the other. I think one appropriates more than the other. I think the other is honest more than the other. I like my racism, to be honest.
I like
To
it to
my
be out in the open. Let me see it. Put a sticker on it.
right.
Red,
Um,
big red hat. Let me see it from a distance.
Right, exactly. And I like to hear white power out loud and not
And
behind closed
tattooed
doors.
on you. Let me see it. I want to
Right.
see
I'd
it. Let
love
me
to
know where
see the
it's at.
swastika,
Right, right.
the Third Reich, that
The
thing.
Aryan. Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
I want to see all of that. I want it in my face.
I want to know what's there. Let me know what I'm
Right.
dealing with up
I
front.
don't want it to be hidden
I agree.
and with another agenda while you're appropriating my culture and then
Right,
calling the cops on us because we told you gotta put your dog on a leash.
right.
um she was left.
And
So
implementing stop and frisk and all of these other things and
right,
the three
crime bills,
strikes and the
3 strikes,
crime bills. Right, right,
marijuana laws, um
right.
just all the whole
Mass
nine. So
incarceration in general. Right.
exactly. So every time, I think Black people, we look at the right like, oh, they're our opposition, because they make it themselves so clear and they're so honest. And I appreciate your honesty, conservatives, Republicans. I love it. Thank you so much for clearly stating who you are and your
That's how
intention.
Marcus Garvey felt about it, saying his mentality was like, I want this, you want that. At least you being honest, we can make some deals. And I respect that. Like, yeah, I know what you about. You know what I'm about. So I don't have to fake, you ain't gotta fake.
Right, right. So, and you know, Joe Biden, he's as racist as they come.
He is.
So,
And his record shows it.
oh man, does it ever? Um,
Well,
you
did you
know,
have some kind of footage of him saying the N word?
no, I don't
I
know.
haven't seen that. I haven't seen
I
it. I
don't
Yeah,
haven't seen
know.
it.
but you heard about it though.
I haven't seen it yet. But yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah,
I saw the out like I don't even need that much from him. Like I saw the footage of him actually selling the crime bill to Congress.
Right.
And his wording was, yes, these people may have been neglected by society. So what? Sure, these people have had a hard time being able to be socialized. So what? And when he said that, that's when I said, okay, I can't mess with this guy at all. Like,
Right.
knowing that this system has created this and this is your solution, that's a problem, man. That's an extension of
What has
of,
he
of
done to
white
undo it? That's the only thing I want to hear. Nothing.
but then
nothing.
it takes
Like
a bit of
what's
time.
undone mass incarceration?
Right.
Nothing. Nothing has done undone mass. They still got three strike laws and they still got the X and they still got 85%. That none of that's gone anywhere. And especially if you're talking about the feds, I mean, Jesus Christ. None of
Right.
that's gone unless you're Takashi. And even that really ain't for him, I guess.
Well, he
But
was a rat, right? He
yeah,
was.
right.
That doesn't
Right.
apply with
No,
immunity.
not in that, not a, yeah, a particular kind of immunity. Yeah. So nah, I mean, what's changed about what's changed?
And
Out in the
absolutely.
open. Yeah, right. Out in the open. Right. Right.
Exactly. And so even with that, you know, I wish other cultures would go out of their way to actually learn about Black culture
Right.
before
And what's
they,
going on with us? Yeah, right.
yeah,
Why Right, be empathetic. Find out what we've got a rich culture. I don't understand why a person you steal everything else from us. Why don't you steal some of our scholarly work, some of our historical works? Go get
Definitely.
dig into our historians and people such as us. Before before you go steal some more of our fashion and shit.
Right. And and
In our
a lot
words.
and then
Right,
the
right.
criticism for a lot of different things within Black culture. I just discussed this with somebody else in someone else's comments. They said, single parent households. And I said, white people have broken homes at the same
Yeah,
amount
right.
of rate.
Yeah, right.
They,
Right.
they they have the highest divorce rate in this
and
country.
and 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 the sometimes I think the rate, like I get why we go off percentages, why we go off rates, but I think sometimes when the number is that much greater, sometimes you can just say the number. Like there are many millions more broken homes of white people than there will ever be of Black people, and most of what you got, what we're calling broken homes, is dude don't want to get married. You know what I'm saying? He
Right,
doesn't trust the system. He doesn't believe in certain more. He's got, he come from a different historical trajectory. He's still
right,
with her, still with his baby mama. They still shacked up together, or whatever the language you want the language to be. We don't,
right.
but white America doesn't have a tally for that. We don't report that in the census. The census doesn't have anyone who speaks Black like
Or
that.
we don't show the amount of involved Black
The
fathers there
involvement, yeah,
are that
right,
aren't
right,
in the same
right. The
household.
involvement, yeah, right,
I
right,
was just
right.
about
There
to
are
say that
several involved. Hmm?
because the Black fathers, they're not calculating the ones that actually spend every day with their children, but
Yeah,
just
right.
they don't live with
They don't live with the
them. You know
Right,
what
person.
I mean? So
right.
when I was doing my Black fathers theories for TikTok, I was finding that they didn't have no calculation of that, that the if they only counted whether or not the father lived in the household, but the
Hmm.
fathers would actually not live in the household but be with them
Spend
every day.
child life. Yeah, right.
Every day, take them to school, make sure they add what they need to have, but they just didn't live with them. Now some of his children he lived with, you know, because he
Right.
may have two sets,
Right.
but they never
Mhm.
count that. They never count that. And that's
They don't really look at the culture of Black America, man. They're not, and a lot of this, and I think a lot of this is intentional. But like you said, the reality and what they're recording is two very different things, and often, and maybe it's even our fault. You know what I'm saying? Maybe we ought to be a little bit, maybe we need our own census reports, or our own sociological calculations, because we do live differently, and these systems aren't really for us. You know what I'm saying? They're looking for reasons to kind of make us look bad or whatever. And
Right.
you're absolutely right. What
Yeah.
you're recording is not what's real, and it paints a bad picture. Doesn't it? Not only I don't even want to say a bad picture. This doesn't paint the picture of reality.
yeah, it's not
Right.
realistic at all. The numbers don't even meet up to what it is as far even as far as the population,
Right.
because they'll count a father being active with one set of children, and then he's a deadbeat with the other set, and
Right.
Okay.
that's just because he doesn't live in a household with those children.
Right.
Which is
You know,
not fair. You could be a young man and have children with one person,
Right.
and later on in life you choose your
Have
life.
another one. Yeah. Right.
Right. That's not a fair count. They don't do that to Donald Trump and his children.
They
Uh,
probably don't.
they don't say he has two bastard sets of families because he's lived,
yeah,
So,
they
Yeah,
didn't do that.
basically, Donald Trump is basically practicing like polygamy of some sort right now. Like,
right.
yeah,
Well, Melania don't even want to touch him, but that's a different story.
yeah.
Um, and then so I wanted to ask her,
Touching then. Oh, see.
she's like, she smacks his hand away, she turns her whole body. The body
Yeah.
language is
I think
awful.
she's I
Body
think she's
language.
absolutely disgusted, repulsed by him.
Yeah,
It's like, oh, why
that's
did
what
I even?
because We're not gonna say that. I'm gonna leave it alone.
Yeah. We can't do that. We
I'm
can't.
not gonna assume that woman's intentions. So Sean King, are you familiar with Sean King, Anais?
The
The activist. I would hate to have to mention his
Do we
mom.
have to call them like? Can we like say like journalists or like part-time
Journalist.
journalists?
Yeah.
Isn't that like basically? Isn't he
Writer.
more that than an
Right.
actual? You know.
Yeah, he's a writer, a journalist. I you know what? I wouldn't akin
black
him to.
journalist?
Okay.
Mixed orientation.
Yes,
He's
he
black journalist. No,
blackish.
black.
Blackish. Yeah, blackish.
Um,
I like that.
I haven't heard about him.
there's an offensive term for him.
Talcum X.
Yes.
Does it start with a C?
No, it's
Talcum
Ash. It's Talcum
Some
X.
have called him the C word, but I like Talcum X a little. I think Talcum X is a little bit more thoughtful.
You know, and he has.
But I feel like he earned I feel like I've been following. He came out of the woodworks right after Mike Brown was killed. I would say about that week. Okay, so I always put the actual Ferguson, the hands up part of it, the hands up movement.
That
I always put that
right.
I put that the first 3 days, right after everybody comes outside, they see the body. Right. The recordings are of a very different type of person. You know, nigga, this is what you see when you be on my YouTube channel. Niggas getting, it was a very different type of person recording in the beginning.
Right.
And then about the third day, Antonio French gets arrested. And about Wednesday of that week, Obama makes comments about Ferguson. Right. And then the floodgates kind of open and everybody descends on Ferguson. So by that next Saturday, this is a week afterward, this is when we start seeing the Sean Kings. And a week after that is when we start hearing about D. Ray and whatnot. And
Jesse Williams.
Exactly. And so I feel like when we first got wind of him, like he already had like, this established journalist kind of at least yeah, he had a team already. And I think a lot of us didn't like him. It is what it is. I gave him a chance, but it kind of went sour. I did feel like he was an opportunist. He every time money came along, it was always mishandled. From the situation with from his newsletter, from his email campaign, from the situation with Tamir Rice's mother, like everything that had to do with money, somehow the money he's a horrible businessman. Whatever he is, why ever, I'm not going to say anything, but he's a horrible businessman. Whenever there's money on the table and Sean King's around, you should take yours. Whatever your money is involved, you probably should. History shows that Sean King and money just it's always something with this guy. And I think that's why I say he kind of earned the name. I think a lot of time has passed, you know what I'm saying? And I think a lot of people forget, this guy, you know what I'm saying? I don't think he's changed much, you know what I'm saying? I still look at him as an opportunist. He always shows he's one of the few ambulance chases that came out of that particular moment that made it. Like D Ray had a moment, but I don't think D Ray was able to do the same thing.
He says it's because we're homophobic that he fell by the wayside, but that's another discussion for another day.
For the record, I was out. This is just for the record. This is just for the record, in case somebody sees this. Just me being transparent. I was out with D Ray. You know what I'm saying? Like I was out. We were out. Me and my wife, D Ray, Netta, we were out there. Nobody. D-Ray has some very interesting views. It
Okay.
had absolutely some. There is a homophobic strand in the Black community that is
Yeah,
very that's active that are activists.
In
I
all
will
communities.
get that, but that wasn't the reason, man.
No,
There
I
was
don't
a
think that
50
was
million
either.
fucking other reasons
But
why people.
that's what he's leaning. Well, so yes, and then so my take on Sean King. Um I don't hate on people that are successful.
Okay,
Start off
okay,
with
okay,
that.
okay.
I
You don't get up to put it as successful.
yes. Uh,
That's a good caveat. I'm waiting for the but or the and.
but
And
but
but
I feel like profiteering from activism kind of takes away from the sincerity.
There's a certain scrutiny that you open yourself up to. I feel like if this how you make your money, I got the right to question it. I feel like if you got your money off dead bodies, I got the right to question it.
Exactly.
right,
Um, and then I believe the term ambulance chaser is definitely befitting.
Oh my God. Mm.
And I only want to say it because I don't see what he does in the community outside of this reactionary
All he does.
space.
Right. This is
I
all he does.
only see kind of like Al Sharpton.
I would say even less than Al Sharpton at this
Al
point. Like,
Sharpton
he is
actually does
really
community work.
he do, yeah.
Yeah.
The Action Network actually has some interesting wings.
Right.
That's not to say anything. That's not
They
to say
do
anything other.
seminars and everything. I've been to an
Yeah,
Action Network
yeah,
seminar
yeah.
for small businesses. They gave really good information.
Mm.
He works with a lot of business. Like I have mixed feelings about Al Sharpton. And these are people that come from a different generation. They've
They
mastered
are
some of the game that's a little bit different. I don't see Sean King in that kind of way. I don't see him as an activist. I don't see him as like a community leader or anything like that. And I don't think
right.
anybody else does.
And I
I think he's a journalist, and I'm not even sure. I don't think you're a good journalist. I just don't want to call. I just think you're a little bit. I think you're a little bit more equipped than a blogger.
definitely.
That would be what I would call you. A
But
blog.
I think some bloggers are dependable as far as
I
being
think a lot of bloggers are dependable. My thing is a lot. It's not that many bloggers that actually got a team of writers.
that's true.
Sean King has a team over there. He's got a team of researchers. He's got a team over there, and I think that's the difference to me. The same way I felt about D-Ray. At a certain point, the thing is, D-Ray had a solid ass team. Man, he had some really interesting minds. I mean, dude, D-Ray's Ivy League. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely.
But it was what it was. You know what I'm saying? Y'all was going city to city, man. Y'all wasn't helping organize nobody, man. Dudes on the ground said you were a journalist. That's what
Right.
dudes on the ground. That's what Tribe X, and you can look all these people up. You know what I'm saying? Tribe X and all of them cats, they looked at you a journalist. You here to record what we do. You're
Right.
here to record what the activists do. You're here to
Right.
record what the organizers do. And that's how I looked at it, and whatever. You know what I'm saying?
That media
I don't think that's a bad
gets you a lot of
thing.
access though. That
Yeah,
media
it does.
pass gets you
Yeah,
a
it
lot of
does.
access to documents and privy to information that the average person doesn't necessarily have. And so I see that as his role. And I see the way his legal team is able to pressure police departments into releasing footage. I think that is important.
If that's the case, right.
Yeah, if it's the case, I may be giving him too much credit. I don't know. I'm trying to give him whatever credit that I think he may deserve. And so, I still his wife made a post.
Oh
I
gosh, she's always making posts. She's made a lot of posts over the years. Like this isn't the first. She's done this a lot, man. But go, please. I'm listening.
And it was not a very humble post for.
What's the humble post?
It's not something Betty Shabazz or Coretta Scott King would post. You know,
she's not a humble woman.
No,
they don't. And this is my thing. Like they don't look at themselves like. And this is why I don't. They don't look at themselves as of the people. This is a business. This is they're carrying themselves. There's a certain amount of celebrity, even with D-Ray going to the Oscars. There's a certain amount of celebrity that they want their names to have, and they want to be held. They want to be held to a particular status. Right. This isn't of the people, this isn't that kind of campaign. So I'm not going to look at you as, it's the same problem that I had with Chadwick Boseman. Like, once again, condolences and all of that. But I can't look at you as a Paul Robeson or something like that or whatever. This isn't what you were. And you only had, and moving on with Sean King, you're just not of the people in that kind of way, man. You're not really established in any community like that. Your wife definitely wants everybody to know.
Definitely. His wife mentioned all of his best-selling books.
His best-selling books.
Oh yes. Oh, he was on a New York best-selling Times for 36 weeks throughout his entire career.
Does she mention how he got fired from the Daily Mail?
Yeah, she does not mention that.
That's interesting.
And supposedly he got fired from the Daily Mail for leaking information that was not approved by the editor. And
agenda.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, they all do. I'm not knocking that. I have interesting thoughts about how this should work. You know what I'm saying? I feel like we took the energy of people from the 60s, the people who got killed. We took their energy and we just started sharing this shit with anybody. We just applying it to anybody. Anybody could take on the role of Dr. King, and anybody like Dr. King had already done the Montgomery bus boycott years before he became a household name, and he didn't become a household name really until after he was murdered. Right. The I Have a Dream speech wasn't played in all the schools while he was alive. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like these people, they weren't clout chasers, and I don't want to keep calling people all of these names. You know what I'm saying? I might have to have lunch with these people again. I'm gonna say the same shit today, Face. I'm not scared of these people.
I don't think Malcolm X would be giving Rihanna over.
It was that he didn't even he barely liked Dick Gregory.
Right.
Like, you got to think about who these people are. These was very serious people, man, and they were for a particular thing. They
Belafonte. I mean, he had some words about that brother.
He had words. So I do feel like, this is a different type of people, and we have to be careful about associating their role with what we expected from these what these other people did. These are not the same kind of people, and it's just not the same kind of era. We just don't live in that era, man. It's a different kind of time, man. You know what Malcolm X could have did with TikTok? You know what Malcolm X could have did with, look what he did with radio. Look what he was able to do with, a short, a small documentary. You know what I'm saying? Like the things that he was able to do with a little bit of media. Imagine what he would have been able to do with a Twitter stream. You know what I'm saying? Like we just live in a different time, man. It's not that era.
He also said that his sincerity was his credentials. Malcolm X said that he said they would ask him, "What are your credentials?" He said, "My sincerity is my credentials." And I don't feel like there's too many people who can say their sincerity
is what,
is what is driving me. That's the power that I speak on. That's my authority as a Black figure. They're too busy worried. This white institution is my credential.
Right.
And so I don't feel like they come from the same, even the Black Panthers, you wouldn't know they were, Ivy League graduates,
Right,
Right.
right, right.
summa cum laude.
Doctors, right, right.
Yeah, you wouldn't know a lot of them because they
That's
didn't.
not what they put out there.
Right, right.
Right.
So, but nowadays you have people saying a doctor. Not that I don't respect the
I get it.
credentials.
That you put your work in, but that's not what you knew Angela Davis for first.
Right,
You knew her for something else first,
right,
or even Huey. You knew Huey first for something else. Even
right.
Eldridge,
Just-
really, you knew him
Yeah,
for something else first, and
right.
then you realize, oh, damn, you accomplished this, that, and the third in this
Exactly.
particular side of the world.
Right. And so, Anais, what were you gonna say?
No, I was just thinking about what you just were talking about. Especially they didn't lead with that.
They
See,
didn't
it's
leave with that,
important.
right?
It's important that as if you're gonna be an activist in something, it's important that your story, what are you leading with?
Right.
What are you leading with? Oh, I went to Harvard. Oh, I went to, what are you leading with? Because
Right.
if you're not for the people, we're gonna decipher that.
Or if that's not the most important thing to you, because what you lead with is what you want people to know about you. It's the part of the story you want people to associate with you most. This is your brand. This is the association that we have. It's like that was a perfect example. It's like with Obama. The first thing we heard is this his Harvard background and then all of a sudden they start talking about activism and shit. And by that time, it really doesn't matter. You're just
Nope.
selling him. He's already sold himself as this Harvard guy. He
Yeah.
wants
Right.
you to put him in this particular mindset. Even
Mhm.
even Malcolm, yeah, yeah, and even Malcolm, before he led with something else before he led with anything. You know what I'm saying? I'm of this type. You know what I'm saying? And not even because he had to tell you that, because he knew the people was going to tell you that, because that's where he was established. And if
Right.
you're not established with the people, if you're not really a representative of the people, then you can't lead with that. Who you're Because I'm going to go to your community. And I'm going to ask, hey, you knew such and such. Oh, he didn't go to this barbershop. He ain't shop here. Don't nobody know this dude. Oh, okay. Nobody knows you. So that means you couldn't have been doing no work in that community. You
And he
have you don't have a foundation. You're not established.
and he was on that stump on 125th and
Yeah.
Linux.
Yeah, they knew
You
Malcolm. They knew Malcolm.
Yeah, he hood all day. He was in the hood all day, telling the people to clean up and get your act together. You know, um, and
Organizing.
he was organizing. He went from
But the
city
same
to
with
city.
King though. The people knew King too. The people,
Yeah, that's true.
and even Angela and all of these others. The people knew those people.
Right.
That's the Torres and the Asadas. People knew those people. They
Right.
were known.
They were able to be touched. They
They
weren't
were able to be touched.
highfalutin.
They weren't highfalutin. Right. Great word. Right. Right. Right.
Yeah. So and then I don't feel like I could touch Sean King. Not that you know what I mean?
I don't
I
think
don't
so
feel like
either.
uh his wife even feels like she can be touched. Um, you know,
In a real way, I don't think, like, I don't know where that, like, they're not selling that kind of footage. When we see the footage of Sean King, it's maybe
celebrity.
at his house, like, yeah, like, it's like, it's not like him out with the people or anything like that. It's not.
Vacations. I see vacation pictures.
Yeah, right. It's not, it's not him doing the work or whatever we calling it these days. Yeah,
Right.
nah.
So that's my main concern when it comes to profiting from activism is what is your sincerity. I don't want my activist to be as broke as maybe Malcolm X was
Right.
after he died, and all he had was a tenth of book sales to give to his wife. I don't want necessarily my activists to be New York best time sellers either. You know what I mean?
I think at a certain point you're not that. I have a lot of problems with Ta-Nehisi Coates, and
Yeah.
I've got stuff. You know, I've said this to Ta-Nehisi Coates. He sent me shit, you know, on my Facebook. You know, but I will say this: when asked about activism, he just said he used to. This was back in the day. I don't know what he's saying these days.
Okay.
I stopped listening.
Yeah.
But back in the day when he was in he was at YSU in St. Louis, he said, you know, I'm not an activist. I'm a writer, and I respected that. That's like, yeah, right.
But with Baldwin, I felt like he was a writer
And an activist.
and an activist.
I think the times demanded, and I think the people that he was associated with. I think there's a difference. Baldwin was willing to be associated with Maya Angelou at that time, and both of them was willing to be associated with Malcolm X at that time. Malcolm X was a wanted man.
At that
period.
time.
Period. Yeah. You know, and they were willing to be, you know, they was all chums. They were buddies. They, you know, I think the fire. I respect Alex Haley, and I understand that I maybe I should, I don't care. I do. I do think the Fire Next Time is a better book than the autobiography of Malcolm X. Although I think both books should be read, but I do think the Fire Next Time is.
I'm about to blow some spots up right now.
Well, let's go. This is what we've come here for.
Plagiarized the Roots.
Well, yeah, and he probably was Asian, and maybe, you know what I'm saying. I don't know.
Did you know that Anais?
No,
he was sued by a white academic for stealing
for Roots and for Queen
and for yes.
And a lot of what becomes the autobiography of Malcolm X was probably written after Malcolm X was already had been assassinated. So, you know, I'm not, you know, but I do think, you know, even with that, you know, I do think The Fire Next Time is just a better book. I thought that was, if I were going to, you know, I would say read this one first, then read that one. I thought James Baldwin had a better take.
I'm trying to reiterate the fact that you had someone who didn't even write. Roots is a good book. I'll say that it's written wonderfully.
It's a great story.
For him to use that to propel him to become the co-author of the autobiography of Malcolm X, and for it to be written, one
happened before the other.
Yes, you're right.
Roots happened afterwards.
You're right. It did happen afterwards.
Mm-hmm. I think the Alex Haley's tenure at Playboy is what got him in next to Malcolm X, and they used that interview. Playboy must have been very different back in those days. Anyway,
they did a lot of deep interviews.
Playboy hired Dick Gregory as a comedian.
Yeah, they did. Yeah,
and they also had Bill Cosby as he had different spotlights on his stuff too.
Okay,
right.
I thought you was going to say something else about Bill Cosby. Bill Cosby will never be able to clean his name up, will he, man?
I think he's
That's it.
Yeah, that's it. He can say goodbye to peanut butter and jelly, as my dad.
The pudding pops, right? Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my God.
But yeah. So you know, even
I feel you though, and I'm just not sure what all was plagiarized. Like, I'm not quite sure what's exactly being said. But I'm not defending Alex Haley either, though. I'm not defending him.
He paid the man.
That's what they said. He paid him to write it.
No, he paid him after the fact that he called him out. He paid the man.
He didn't fight. What you're saying is he didn't fight. He didn't put up no fight. So,
no, yeah. He put up a fight for a good couple of sessions and paid the man.
Figured out he wasn't gonna give up, so let me go give you this money so you can stop, so you can get out my hair and I can go about my life and go about living my life.
Right.
Maybe.
But
I'm not denying it. I'm not I'm not defending Alex Haley. You know what I'm
I
saying?
know I'm just
I think I think he's gotten what he's going to get. Like people, nobody's going to stop playing Roots. You know what I'm saying? Like that's still going to be what that's going to be. Like you know what I'm saying? And it's still a worthwhile. It's still a
story.
worthwhile discussion. It's still a
Right.
worthwhile story, right?
I
But
mean,
yeah,
we
he
had
probably
enough
did.
riots during the 70s.
Right, no shit. Enough white students got their ass kicked at schools
Right,
across the
right.
country.
My dad told me when it came out when he was a kid, it caused some friction. He lived in rural Mississippi,
I can
so
believe it.
you know, one of the last few schools to become integrated, and Roots, boom,
Because they needed an excuse.
it's time
They
to
needed a
rumble.
reason. That was a good reason.
Hey, my dad came from a family of 15. I mean,
Oh yeah, oh
we had
yeah.
at least three of them in school at all times. So,
And all of them probably been fighting all day.
right.
Real long.
They looking for somebody else to whoop on. They tired of whooping on each other. Come here, white boy.
you
Come
say, did you say Punta? But yeah,
yeah, I mean, Alex Haley touched enough of culture where I'm not really like. I think you're okay, man. Like whatever comes out. You know, you already there. You already
he's already established
you're
and
already
he's solidified. One of the last things I wanted to talk about was what can we do to commemorate the memory of the Black Panthers and Anais, can you go ahead and give us a brief conclusion to that question?
Yeah, I think here, and I think we talked about this before. And what I think is, you know, he had the free clinics and the free testing for different things that was affecting the Black community. See, what we need to do is take it to a whole nother level. We need to have a Black insurance company. Now, that health insurance company, that life insurance company, all insurance companies, period, so that Black people can have some kind of insurance, so that we can just take over this whole uh, responsibility of taking care of our business in-house business. So that's what my thing is. Instead of just the clinics and the being connected with different doctors and all those different things, how about we get our own system, our own healthcare system, our own life insurance system, our own system. So that's what I'm thinking at this point.
That's what's up.
That sounds like a great idea.
Yeah. It's much better. Yeah.
It seems, it seems like much better.
Yeah, because that's that business degree talking. Yeah. Yeah. No. That's a great idea. Definitely at the right level. I think for myself, I think it's extremely important. Like I like that you said the Black Panther movement. You know what I'm saying? We're talking about something that had a lot of people, a lot of young people was involved in the Panthers and the Black Liberation Army and all of these other little things that spawned from this particular activity that happened out there in Oakland. It was a movement, and it had a lot of different moving parts, from like a Afeni Shakur, like Tupac's mother and all of that, like this was a whole widespread thing. So I do think that it demands a particular amount of study, and I like what I like the I like what Carter G. Woodson was trying to do with the Negro History Week. Not so much this thing where we come together and we all try to act like we know so fucking much about Black history by naming who invented what is or whatever, but like really actually trying to inform people like in a humble way, like you're actually trying to inform people, not try to show off. I do think that there should be like a week or something, where we're commemorate, like maybe take a week in Black August or something to really try to commemorate these people and what they tried to do. and by actually, going through their books, before Black August. Like don't jump on it in August, and then all of a sudden you want to be, a scholar on them, like throughout the year, get your notes together, and then have, something to share with everybody during this week in Black August, specifically about, these people, because it was a lot of people involved with the Black Panthers and everything else that was an offshoot, and even their influence on hip hop. Like there's a lot that the Black Panthers touched, and they deserve to be, they deserve like a whole week or something. Like or you can start as a day, like you have President's Day to commemorate all the presidents. You should have something that says, let's talk about the Panthers, man. This was a very important part of Black culture. They spawned, a lot of stuff that we still deal with today.
And so, like, I have really good ideas to get the youth involved in things like that. I was thinking about having an essay contest. $250 goes a long way with the kids these days.
I bet it will.
If you give them a deadline, and a little bit of ahead of time notice, and say, hey, the best essay gets this cash prize, you will see the genius that is spawned. I won essays as a growing up. I had different essay contests that I entered in. And so I did one for Mecha. That is their equivalent of like a Mexican group. They're like the Black Student Union. And so they were asking a question about, our current president at that time in 2005. It was George Bush. And I had very scathing review of his presidency, but I won. The only thing they said I had to do was add president in front of his name. I a couple of times they said I put just Bush, and that did not suffice. I had to put president and put some respect on his name. That's what they told me.
You really shouldn't have to, but
I know. But I felt like that sparked a lot of creativity and ideas in me at a very young age, to be able to become more politically minded. And I had to actually take time and research to do that paper to win that money. It wasn't something that, everybody could just write up last minute. And no, everybody got the notice. Hey, money on the line, write a paper.
They had to tell me his money was on the line.
Yeah, right.
Right. So I was thinking of doing something like that. And then also, I noticed that we didn't mention one of the 10 points was to eliminate incarceration, period. They wanted to end all penal systems in the Black Panther Party. And so I would like to sponsor a different inmate every week. If I could put at least $40 on their books.
That's a great idea too.
Every week. I thought that would be an excellent way to commemorate their memory, because they were about educating the youth. They were about eliminating the penal system. And as far as health, a lot of times the woke community approaches things holistically. And so if we could have more access to literature, like Queen Afua's Sacred Woman, and things of that nature, being able to pass out literature like that. Sometimes I notice between me and my friends, we pass books around. So, they'd be like, you got this? Oh yeah, I got that. Oh, you got this? I think just educating each other, incentivizing each other, and supporting people in need is what all the Black Panther Party was about. And I think that's one of the best things we can do, is to be active. Active is as active does, activist. So, I already do that. I don't do 40, I do $20. And I look up an inmate in a different state every week, and I write a letter and I tell them that I put $20 on their books and that's all that I can afford. And they usually respond within a week or two and
Yeah, I
say
bet.
thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, I bet.
So
even reaching out to like political political prisons, because there's a lot of political prisons in the United States of America that go without mention. They don't get they don't get mentioned in raps. You know what I'm saying? So even that would be a great idea. I think that's a dope idea too.
So, and Jay, thank you so much.
Thank you, thank you. It's always an honor to be on your platform.
It is a great.
And then I'm gonna try to make a habit out of this. So we're gonna try to do this slot Fridays at 10 if you guys don't mind. And I'm trying to keep it under 3 hours. We always will go a little bit over. It's Friday.
We haven't been doing that too often.
You ain't got no job. You might as well. What you got to do?
Right. We do get long-winded though. We do get long-winded, but no, it's all fun. It's all fun. It's always educational. It's always enlightening. It's always a great time.
Definitely. So thank you guys so much. Have a wonderful weekend and Black Power. Hey,
y'all be safe out there.
Okay. Bye-bye.